I'm rewatching Terran Topic here on Lagan. It's as wonderful as I remember it.
All right, who wants to do the recap?
Whose turn is it? I went last week, or last game.
So I'm trying to remember everything that we ran into. We met with the Duchess.
Mm-hmm.
Both Joe and Lee got high on medications from the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what happens when you go on morphine? Is it high, or is there like another term? Like on X, you're rolling and...
I think high would work.
High works. All right.
Yep. He was not at his best while trying to negotiate with the Duchess.
I thought I was fantastic.
But he thought he was fantastic.
Because I was.
We got a lot of information out of Emily as well about the person that was supposed to be...
About Emma Fowler. Yeah.
Yep.
Or not Emma Fowler. No. She's the... Oh, no, it is Emma Fowler. That's right. Yes, it is Emma Fowler. Yeah.
That there seems to be something medically wrong with her. We decided that we were going to side with House Colors.
Color, yeah.
So we went back, renegotiated with the Duchess what we wanted. We gave her our laundry list of our demands.
I have.
And she accepted every one of them, except we can't have her personal doctor. We have to get a doctor of, a different doctor that's not her personal doctor. So we were at that point where we ended. We were off to St. Louis.
And Lee is doing nothing suspicious and acting completely normally.
Well, and there were so many great reveals last game too, like Cyrus, the officious pudgy guy who Pop spit in his book, was demoted to work in Defiance from St. Louis. I don't know what happened, why he was demoted, but I have to believe it had something to do with Pops, right? I have to. I have to believe that it was part of that whole deal from the prequel section. The other
I made comments about him to the Duchess to basically indicate he was utterly incompetent, and he may be getting demoted even further because of that.
Yeah. And then finding out that
he's the dick,
and finding out that Amelie had almost been masked in the past. That was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That was an interesting tidbit.
Yep. And that was one of the things we asked for, was we gave a list of people to never be masked.
Yep. We'll see if that promise gets kept.
So, there was something I did say was a minor thing that I said last session that I quickly realized isn't possible, which is I said that they were going to take your boat up on the booms on the side of their boat. I forgot these are all river ships, and yours is actually relatively large. Theirs is bigger, but it's not that bigger. This is...
You can tow us.
Yeah, so they're using the booms instead to do a side tow. And I actually looked up how that works, and it is a thing, and it does work. So they're using the booms to side tow you. So they are going to... Your ship is going to be under power, and will actually be moving, as a result, significantly faster. And their ship will also be escorting yours through the Chain of Rocks Canal, which will save you what would have been otherwise our first stress against the crew template for a passage over the Chain of Rocks.
Yeah, if you want to keep it in character, I could easily see that she would just, sure, we can do this. She's not a river person.
Right.
Like because she was the one that said it, she wouldn't be the person that logistically would do it.
Right.
And she hasn't actually seen our boat
that's true,
either.
Yeah, so she very well might have said, we'll just carry yours along, and because you're somewhere, beneath her or whatever, and hadn't really thought through I don't know, we'll see. But one way or the other.
I'm going to call her on her bullshit.
All right, Chad. Roll me 2d12.
I sit there quietly and mope.
Okay, so you guys, Wayne got his bullet for doing that little recap, and Charlie thinks he's going to get carrots. All right, you guys is there anything else that you wanted to accomplish in Defiance? I wrote in my game notes Herman. In Defiance, before you depart back for St. Louis.
Do you have any mail deliveries? Any work that I can do?
Nothing significant, but yeah, there's little odds and ends you can tend to. So,
I do that.
Okay. Anyone else? Is there anything else that you want to accomplish? Well, okay. So you guys are invited for security's sake to spend the night at the house the Duchess is staying in. Or if you want, you can opt to stay in the sort of bed and breakfast-ish kind of tavern place that's down the hill a bit. Up to you what you want to do.
I'm not partial where I bunk, so I'm happy to stay in the safest of places with the Duchess.
Okay.
I'll stay with the Duchess, but I'm going to be hanging out at the... I assume the bed and breakfast has like a tavern bar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's where I'm going to spend some time holding court, as it were.
Places to drink alcohol and socialize are as old as recorded history. So I cannot imagine that there's any town of significance you are going to encounter that doesn't have some place where this occurs, even if it's not a formal tavern. It may be nothing more than they always hang out in Billy Bob's front porch, but
With the shine.
with the shine. But there's always going to be something like that, because a place to eat and get liquored while we socialize, once again, is as old as human history goes. All right, so the following morning, you guys head down toward the riverfront at the base of Defiance. And the ship is still, of course, anchored out there. Their ship, actually named, is called the Dancer. So the Dancer's still anchored out there. Your ship is...
Is it a tiny dancer?
Yes. And it will hold you closer.
It will! Oh my god.
And your ship has now been moved from where it was actually moored at the port, to instead it is now side-towed, is now lashed side by side with the Dancer. The Duchess comes down. There's a pretty good number of people that you can tell work for her, some of which are uniformed guards, others of which you can just tell by deference in the way they move work for her. And as as the time draws a little bit closer towards departure, you guys are kind of milling around the shoreline, waiting for them to actually get the tenders moving and such. You'd see an individual who is one of Duchess's entourage go with one of the uniformed guards over to Cyrus. And
Which one's Cyrus?
Cyrus is the officious tubby.
the fat guy?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
tubby guy. Yeah.
And there is a verbal exchange.
Get your hands off my rope.
You can hear Cyrus raising his voice, and it ends with the guard shoving him to the ground. They take his book from him, throw a pouch on his chest, and bring the book back to where you guys are milling about, and hand it to Duchess.
Looks like there's a job opening.
Duchess takes it and she flips through it and just kind of skims what's in there and says, "It's a shame he had so many oversights and mistakes. He did a good job in many ways, at least judging by this. But sending you to an imposter for Timid is an unacceptable risk. Could have been a big loss."
I don't disagree. I got shot in the face.
What happens to him now?
Could have been worse. I could have been shot in the face.
That's how you
He's
make your money.
free.
Aren't you afraid of him going to your enemies?
No, he's completely free. Right. To put this in less diplomatic terms, he's been kicked out. He's exiled. He can legally stay in the extended territories, but there are now portions of St. Louis itself he cannot enter, and in addition to not working for House Color, he is exiled completely from every house that participates within the machine. He's persona non grata. Such an arrangement, it works well for all of us because just as it keeps my enemies from hiring him, it keeps me from hiring the exiled of their houses as well. We all must play by the rules. Alright, so at this point, they start taking the tender boats, which are nothing, what they're using is nothing more sophisticated than rowboats, and they begin taking you guys up to where the ships are. Now, which of the two ships are you staying on? You can stay on either. You can stay on the Dancer, or you can stay on Miss Lily's Vine.
I'm not going on the Dancer.
Okay.
The Vine's my boat. The Vine's always been my boat. I'm not staying on the Dancer.
Okay.
I stay wherever they are. So.
Yep, same. I'll stay on there.
Okay, so everybody stays on your guys' boat.
Actually, Lee starts talking to you guys like, you guys should at least go over there and check it out. I mean, you've never been on a boat like that before. It's pretty cool.
As a matter of I mean, I'm curious.
Well, just go over there and visit. You can take a tour.
But
it's really neat.
it's not proper to just go over and nose around. They invite you. If they wanted me to be on their boat,
proper.
they would invite me to be on their boat.
What part of maritime law makes that not proper? You will love it.
Lee, if they somehow knew that I was curious about seeing their boat and then they decided to invite me, I would do that, but I'm not going to go ask.
I could ask for you.
Well, I'm not saying you should do that. I'm not asking you to ask for me.
I understand. I go over. I don't get on the boat. I assume there's somebody that I can.
Yeah. There's sailors that work the ship. I mean, yeah.
I call over to one of them and I say, "Hey, my friends here are really curious about the boat, and do you mind if they come on and maybe even someone kind of show them around real quick? Yeah, nothing big. They're not going to stay to visit, but they just want to see the boat and how cool it is."
He shrugs and then looks over to one of the guards and says, "Sergeant, they're asking permission to come aboard." And the guy that he calls out to says, "Dutch just said they could bunk here if they wanted." He's like, "Yeah, if you want to hand up, we'll throw down, what do you call it? You know, the nets that they use to climb ships. I can't, whatever that is."
They're called nets.
Okay. They're called boat climbing nets. BCNs.
Yes.
Isn't that the rigging?
No, rigging is what moves the sails around.
Yeah, rigging moves the masts and the sails and such. So,
What, you doubt the veracity of the term boat climbing net?
BCNs.
Yeah. Come on, you guys are sailors here. Did you not read Wicked River?
Not yet.
Well,
Or Wiki River.
that's what Dan read.
Yes. Actually, well, the random things I have to research to prep this game. Today I was looking up information on airplanes that have been manufactured in St. Louis. But anyway.
So I have to digress really quick.
Okay.
So I did an experiment where I started an Amazon affiliate program.
Yeah.
I wanted to see, because in Missouri we couldn't do it forever.
Yeah.
The political tax stuff, don't even worry about it. Now we can. And I had been saying for a long time, Fear the Boot should have a Amazon affiliate store. And I wanted to see what the process was like. So I had Morning Sky start one up. And we've been talking about Wicked River so much.
I bought my Wicked River through you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Because
it's the same price.
Right, exactly.
So I'm like, if Chad gets 50 cents, what do I care, you know?
So I was like, okay, well, I'll start this affiliate program, but I'll tell everyone I'm doing. Here's the link. here's what I'm doing.
Right.
You know, I'm not trying to bamboozle anybody, and this is why we're doing it. We're trying to put it on Facebook and a couple other places and whatnot. And so, two things of interest happened. One, they kicked me out of the affiliate program.
What?
Because they reviewed my website, morningsky.com. They reviewed my website and they said that it was nothing. There was no original content on it.
Wow.
Okay.
And two, it looked like nothing but a whole bunch of advertisements. Because I have a page of Friends of Morning Sky where it's like Fear the Boots banner and then Blood Moon Goblins and Chuck's Chronicles of Spire and stuff like that. They said it was nothing but advertisements and no motherfucking original material on it.
that's literally all it is.
All it is.
And then links to other original material you either participate in
or just support.
Yeah.
Because they're my friends. Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
Why not?
Sure. Why? Sure.
Fear the Boot got kicked out of Google AdSense because they decided we were a pornography site.
Excellent.
I have no idea. We don't allow nudity on the site anywhere.
So
They
pretty
listened
sure.
to an episode I was on.
So the second thing that was interesting about it is that they kicked me out of the program, but people bought the book I was linking.
Yeah.
Right? And I think like 15 or 20 people bought it.
Yeah.
I mean, like a lot of people bought it, and they gave me the money for that. $4.78, which is not bad for like 30 days of just linking in a couple of places.
Yeah.
But whoever bought Wicked River, thank you.
I was one of them. I stopped buying your link. All right. So anyway,
If anybody's curious, I bought the next Longmire book, Hell is Empty, by what's the guy's name? We were just talking
Craig
about
Johnson.
Craig Johnson. Yeah. So that's another one. Read Longmire series; it's real good. Anyway, sorry. Continue.
all right.
I'm done.
Yes, you have permission to board if any of you want to board their ship.
Well, assuming Lee waves me over.
Yeah, I come over and I'm like, yeah, come on up, man.
All right, I'll go take a look around.
Yeah.
Okay. They help you up onto deck, and you are standing on the deck of a relatively shallow drafting attack ship or patrol ship. It might be the sort of thing that you've seen in passing over your years on the river, but this is certainly the closest you've ever been to one. I can't imagine any circumstance in which you would have actually been aboard one. Mm-hmm. Within the primary area of the ship, so you've got the deck that you're on right now, and there are spots along the sides of the ship, some of which appear to be part of the original design, most of which appear to have been more recently built, that appear to be gun stations. Not like as in cannons, but just like as in a rifleman could, get down there and take out a sniper that's somewhere along the banks. They don't really stop you from wandering about, so unless you do something I need to know about, I mean, I'll just kind of walk you through what
Sure,
you
yeah,
see.
no, I'm absolutely curious, and I don't intend on doing anything inappropriate just out of respect for another person's vessel.
Okay. So on the front of the ship, there is what looks like a relatively low caliber cannon, and it is currently under a tarp, but you can see enough bits of it, that you get a sense of what it is. It's definitely not a machine gun, but it's just something that's going to fire a shell. It's not huge. They're not going to use this for like shore bombardment of anything, but it's certainly going to be a hell of enough to take out most other vessels on the river.
Yeah, like mine.
Yes,
Yeah.
precisely, if they so wanted. And as you walk around to the... Okay, so as you walk around the ship, I'm trying to remember the boats. I actually had one picked out, so I'm trying to visualize it. So there are then two stories, well, actually three, but two primary stories to the structure on the ship that are above deck. And on the top one, or the first one, so I'm sorry, not top one, but actually the lowest one, you have entryway into common eating area. You have entryway into where some of the guards are bunking. On also the Duchess's room is, they point out to you where that is. There is then also ways down to below deck where it's mostly things like the head, the engine room, and then if you go up a level, you actually start to hit the primary, like the helm station and things like that.
All right, I'm definitely going to poke around in there just because it's fascinating to see the technology that they're using for this particular boat compared to what we do on the Vine.
If you walk into the bridge of the ship, they don't, once again, unless you interfere, they don't do anything about it. You get a kind of a sideways look. But the captain's there. There's a helmsman there. There's a navigator there who actually has navigational charts of the river and they're kind of doodled all over, and there's all kinds of notes on them about incidental hazards or things that may have changed since those charts were drawn up. You don't know how often they actually get these reprinted or whatnot.
Well, once they start showing maps and charts of the river, they become fixated on that.
They also are having an on and off conversation over walkie-talkie with an individual who is up a level, actually on top of the structure, who is doing lookout with a pair of binoculars. And there is a radio on the ship, like a full-fledged radio, and you can hear a little bit of chatter. It's pretty sparse, but you can hear a little bit of chatter going back and forth between the dancer and apparently some kind of like command operations center, something like that, that must be back in St. Louis. But they are talking about, their things like, we're going to be departing at this time, tell the canal to expect us around this time, and, whatnot. And so they are actively communicating back and forth using, once again, an industrial level of technology. But obviously the other two things is on the... So you have the deck level structure of the ship, and then there's one above that where the actual helm is. There's a slight open area on top of what we'll call floor number 1. And on top of the roof of floor number 1, forward of the helm station, there is a mounted machine gun. And then there's another one on the aft of the ship.
Jesus.
So by modern standards, by real-world standards, this is a pretty light ship. But by standards of this time, this thing is very well armed. And currently there's no one manning them. But they do have people doing lookout. And there are guards on patrol that seem to be more interested in the shoreline than the river itself. While you're up there, they begin firing the engines, actually spinning up the screws. One of the things you've probably gotten used to over the years is that the river is an exceedingly quiet place, especially once you get away from the town. There's just kind of the slow sound of the current of the river, the waves, the birds, the insects. As you're getting into fall, even the birds and insects aren't as loud as they are during the summer. And it's usually a very quiet place. When this boat starts spinning up its engines, it is not quiet.
Wow.
These engines are loud, probably not in the top quality. They work, that's something, but it's rather damned loud. And it's not all that long before they raise up the anchors and check the line securing the Vine. And once they're satisfied your boat's secured and their ship is done and everyone they need is on board, they crank up the engines and the dancer begins making its way east down current along the river away from Defiance, looking back towards the shoreline. You can see some people just watching it go because it's an unusual sight, and you also see Cyrus standing on the shoreline making obscene gestures and yelling. You can't hear him over the sound of the engines, but he's certainly expressing his displeasure.
Well, assuming no one stops me or no one objects, I would like to go back and look at those maps, and I would like to try to figure out, to see, I mean, I'm assuming, I don't know what kind of chart notations or what kind of cipher or anything that they would be using, but I want to try to look at maps that are past St. Louis, further down the river, in the area of where Temper's militia is.
Okay.
Because that's not necessarily an area that I may be as familiar with. So I just want to know, just kind of look at those charts and see if I notice anything, anything noteworthy.
Okay. So to explain both to you and to the listeners why we're rolling it this way, I love mixing and matching attributes and skills to express how the skill's being used. So you are appealing to them as a peer. So we're going to roll, it's going to be your social attribute.
Right.
But you're going to be rolling the skill of River Captain. Mm-hmm. So you get your 3 dice, pick the best 2, and then add it to social.
Right. And
I give that to the sergeant that I talked to earlier. Not for him to read, but you'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, and for what is worth, subterfuge is my incompetence. So I'm not really being subtle about it, but even if I am subconsciously trying to be subtle about it, it's pretty obvious that I'm looking at a specific spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that their intelligence, their information network is much better than mine. But I rolled
Wow.
I rolled very, very poorly.
Well, at least thanks to the...
I'm going to bullet that because it's important to me.
Hold on. I think you don't... You have...
Right.
Let me check. I think you have the choice between a reroll or simply adding a die, which might be your better way to go.
Right. It's just, that's the better gamble. Because
yes.
I rolled a 1, and a 2.
So you roll in another die and then pick the best 2 of the...
Whoa! I can't concentrate over the noise of the engines and just the majesty.
I want him to re-roll that.
Okay.
That mess. That
three dice and go. So you're back to the 3 dice. If it's a reroll, you're back to the 3 dice.
How is that even possible?
Wayne, don't look at my dice. They have performance anxiety. It's like me peeing in public.
I think we need to get one of those, what do they call them? Sage dams or whatever. One of those, I can't think what they're called, but one of the big sage bundles where I have to cleanse Wayne spiritually.
All right, so that's a roll 3, keep 2, plus my social is a mighty 9.
So social, what's your?
It's a 5.
So yeah, you have a 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
I screwed the pooch.
You move. I'm looking at this.
Yeah. Joe, you're out of your element. We're just going to say the issue is that, they're trying to plot course right now, and they're not mean to you, but they're just not giving you space to thumb through the charts.
They didn't use symbols, they used words, and he can't read.
That's absolutely true, yeah.
That's another possibility. I wasn't going that route. I went the social route. So it was a social failure, but there could have been an intellectual failure later down the line, depending on what he saw. But so it's once again, they're not mean to you, but it's just they're busy, and you definitely get the sense you're just getting in the way or whatever.
Well, as a fellow boat captain, I will respect that and get out of their way and not press the issue.
So, while you are trying to get through those charts, I have to do it myself. Okay, so while you are kind of working through those charts, an individual walks in and hands a piece of paper to the captain, which he opens up and then reads it, looks over it, folds it up, and tucks it into the pocket of his jacket and says, Captain Kreider.
Yes, sir.
I'm Captain Sandoval, Mel Sandoval. You can just call me Mel, one captain to another. I don't think we've had an opportunity to really meet. In fact, it actually took me a moment to figure out precisely what role you played in the ship that we're towing along. I thought, given your interest in the charts, that you might be their navigator.
Well, frankly, Captain, I'm a little bit of everything.
I suppose you would have to be.
Yes, sir. I was actually just looking at these charts here, where once we leave St. Louis, our intention is to head further south toward the river. We have some trade goods that we are we have it on good authority that we might be able to unload them a little bit further south.
If you can tell me exactly where, I might be able to offer you any information of use to a vessel of your size.
Of course. Are you familiar with Temper's militia?
I am, but unfortunately I can't sail to a militia. Do you happen to know whereabouts you're looking for?
Yes, sir. Yeah, if I may, and I'll ruffle through the charts, and I'll basically point. Our last information is that Temper's militia was in this area, and I'll point it out to him that. So that's where we're going to start the search.
I think, unless anyone wants to correct this, I think it was Wolf Lake was the area. I think.
I do not have that in my notes.
I know it's to the south, and I'm skimming the location there, and I think it was Wolf Lake. Maybe it's farther north than that. Maybe it's like Grand Tower or something.
Yeah, I did not write it down.
Well, somebody listening to this recording remembers where I said they were great. Otherwise, then we're just going to accept that as an inconsistency in the universe. Well, and they're moving. It's a militia, right? They move about. So he flips over to those charts, and he points out a few things to you. So, Brodor, I want you to make a note that if you have to, I don't know how you want to note this, but if you ever have to make a navigational check down around the area that you end up finding Temper's militia, you're going to get a free bullet. Just usable only on rolls that involve the waters there. Okay? So he's pointed some things out to you. You have a little bit of knowledge. So if you want to say, I want to not spend a bullet but get the effects of one anyway, if it's related to something about those waters, I'll give it to you. So just make a note somewhere that you have that. If these weren't actually in shell casings, I would just write on the side of this, like...
Yes, Dremel.
I could, just drill into the side of it.
No, I'm just going to make a little note with an arrow on my character sheet, and I'm done.
I'm sure the audience would love that. 5 minutes of screeching, punctuated by "fuck my thumb."
Yes, I drill into an actual, well, not an actual bullet, but an actual shell casing of a bullet. All right, so
see, if Fear the Boot had an affiliate account, you could link these dummy
I
rounds.
could, yeah, but unfortunately, all Fear the Boot produces is...
And our name plaques.
Yeah, but I know, but all Fear the Boot produces is unoriginal content and porn. So,
right?
Apparently, we are the central hub of the fappening.
Wow. That's a blast from the past.
That is a blast from the past. I was just trying to think of what unoriginal porn... I don't know. Anyway. Okay, so... As he's walking you through all this, says, we don't honestly get a lot of opportunity to interact with other people out here except our own boats. You've probably been to places and seen things I haven't. I mean, there's whole sections of this chart that I don't know beyond the drawing. I've never actually been to some of these towns. I was wondering if I could invite... you and your compatriots to a dinner tonight with myself and the Duchess.
It'd be my pleasure.
Oh, excellent. By the way, it's you guys departed in the morning, so It's only like 9:30. Excellent. Then I tell you what, how around 5 o'clock ish, we will come and get you, and we'll bring you back aboard. So have a good lunch here or there, wherever you prefer, but we will prepare a dinner for you in the main level galley.
Well, excellent. Thank you.
It's cramped accommodations, but I assure you that it'll have all of the courtesies that we can offer within this limited space.
All right. Well, then I'm assuming that they're going to, I don't know how closely the two boats are and how we're going to get from the dancer back to the vine.
They're literally touching.
Oh, brilliant. So we can just hop over?
Yeah, theirs sits a bit higher in the water than yours does, but the two boats are literally touching.
Brilliant. So then I will, with all confidence, just jump from one deck to the next.
Yeah, or you can use the BCN.
The BCN. Yeah, really. I mean, that's what it's there for.
Did you know, actually, etymologically, that's where the word beacon comes from? That's ships used to find each other using a beacon or a boat connecting net.
Just evolved.
Just evolved. People started adding in vowels. I'm sure some ancient language tried to claim credit, but it's all BS.
Right.
It came from Mississippi River life.
That's right. From Wicked Rick.
from Wiki River.
Wiki River.
And our unoriginal pornography.
That's right.
All right, so
It's not registered. Someone should register Wiki River.
Good.
all right. You guys have about almost 8 hours to kill. It's about 7.5 hours to kill. Oh, also, Joe, I don't know how you intend to prep him for a semi-formal dinner.
Yeah.
Him being Motimer, for the sake of the audience.
So, all right. So here's what I'm gonna do. Once we get back to the vine,
Okay.
we get everybody over the vine, unless they want to stay on the dancer. I don't care. I have an obligation to be on the vine. I want to do two things. I want to pull Philip and Lee aside.
Lee's down by the GCs.
Okay. So I know where you're at. I'm gonna go find Philip then.
Okay. I've been in the bunk updating my notebook on Defiance from all of the
Sure, that's
from the
what you've
trip.
been doing in your bunk.
All the new information I have on Defiance I've added to the book.
Philip, may I borrow a minute of your time up on deck with Lee by the horses?
Sure.
So we'll come up, approach Lee by the two horses.
Lee is one of the sailors is grooming the horse, and Emily. I'm gonna tell you what Emily's doing.
Okay.
Emily is feeding one of the horses an apple, and Lee is sitting on like a box or some rope or something, and he has his sketchbook open and he's like sketching this scene.
May I ask you two for some assistance? So the captain, Captain Sandoval, as you know, invited us to dinner with him and the Duchess tonight, and I think it appropriate to bring Motamar, but I think Motamar needs to be coached.
Coached, sure, and probably bathed.
And sure.
What's he gonna wear?
Pants?
Well, it's not a business meeting. But yeah, I was thinking maybe you two, because so Captain Sandoval asked me to go over some charts and things with him to basically, to share some information about the river, some tips and things with one another. And so I wanted to go through my charts and just kind of, refresh my memory, and I don't know, I want to make a good impression. And so I was hoping maybe you two could talk to Motamar and make sure that
He doesn't stab someone in the face?
that he also makes a good impression, or at least doesn't make a bad impression. But what you said makes more sense.
Rock, paper, scissors?
Oh.
I thought maybe it would be a group effort.
Oh.
I was just gonna bow to your abilities, but
You're closer to him, I'm sure.
Captain Joe,
Yes.
what do I do on this ship? I'm brushing a horse's ass. That's how bored I am.
It's a magnificent horse.
It's,
Sorry, chewing. Are you saying you want to do this?
Yes, that's exactly
Yes.
what she's saying. You know, and women, they know fashion. they
She's
know how to
probably been
behave.
to more dinners than all of us
Absolutely.
combined.
She's
The answer,
rich and
the answer
more
is
listening
no. No. But if you don't find something useful to do, you can clean the bilge. Again.
ew.
So, if you two... I just... You guys... You're going to be better at this than I am, and you're going to handle it more... I don't know, delicately than I would.
Motomar,
Yeah?
you're going to a dinner tonight.
Is it a business dinner?
No.
No.
Don't kill anyone.
Okay.
And clean the bilge first.
Maybe
Don't-
not that.
Don't clean the bilge. Emily, go clean the bilge. All right, fine. You go. Whatever it is that you do, I'll go talk to. I'm gonna go put my arm around Motormore's shoulder and take him to the prow of the ship.
You know, Joe, I've been thinking. What's their head like over there?
Their head?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, Pops used to always say that if you ever get a chance, you always shit in another man's house. So that's what I'm planning.
He absolutely said that all the time.
This is now canon.
Okay.
So tonight we're gonna go over back to the dancer, and we're gonna have dinner with the captain and the Duchess.
Okay.
But we can't behave like we normally behave. I think Philip and Lee are going to be fine, but we have to be
He's going to be great. He ain't going.
on better behavior.
Oh. What does that mean?
Well, it means
Don't kill anyone.
that we might. Do you know how Lee sometimes he can talk to you and he sounds like he's your friend, but there's a tone that's insulting?
No.
You know what, Monomar? You're right. You be you. I'm sorry.
I hear it say, use the silverware. Don't eat with your hands unless you have to.
Oh, okay.
Don't put your elbows on the table. And just
Don't kill anyone.
don't kill anyone.
I get the impression that they're real hoity, right?
Yeah.
And like I feel like that they might talk down to us, but we might not really understand they're talking down to us.
Oh, okay.
So I
Don't want
I need your help to not lose my temper.
not lose. Yeah, I can do that.
All right.
That's easy.
Okay. All right.
I'll just kill anybody. Ow!
I really appreciate that, Motomar.
I'll just watch you, and I'll do what you do.
All right. Thanks. But
I like your idea about crapping in their toilets.
They probably have paper on rolls.
I bet they do.
They won't after tonight.
I'm going over early enough to use it beforehand, clear some room.
Better get there before I do.
I look at you. He's right. You know he's right. When was the last time you used a really good head?
it's been a long time. They don't have like running water, right?
They might.
Wow. Well. Huh. All right. Then everybody back to what you were doing. I'm heading back down to my bunk to get to my charts and do some studying.
If that's what the kids are calling it. Lee says, as he didn't really move and he's still kind of sketching this whole thing. Emily, you're bored.
No, I was bored. Now I'm annoyed.
No, forget that bilge crap. So, I've got...
Broder, do you want a perception check to see if you overhear this?
I mean,
It's going to take a pretty high roll because he's not... It's a small ship, but it's not like he's on a megaphone.
no, and I've already said I'm going down to my bunk to look
Okay.
review the charts, but the bilge is, I mean, it's not a big boat, right? Eventually I'm going to realize that she's not cleaning it.
Oh, I'm sure she'll trick someone else to do it.
So,
Keep in mind, talking about tricking other people into doing work, was it the books Chad was trying to get her to read all the Mark Twain stuff?
right. There's Huck Finn.
Yeah, Huck Finn specifically, whereas
Yeah.
that's out of Tom Sawyer, but still.
So, and actually that's what he's talking about. So, that book I lent you.
Yeah.
So, I think I misjudged you a little. I don't think the book is quite at your level, and I'm sure you've already done book reports on it or something similar. I actually have a job for you. It's up to you if you want to take it. But I'll pay you.
Go on.
I want you to take that book I lent you, and I want you to teach Joe how to read. And he lifts up his satchel, and as she opens her mouth, he takes out a coin and lifts it up.
This one's free.
Okay. Now, I want you to really teach him how to read,
Oh, I will.
and not just dirty words.
Okay.
I want you to teach him how to read.
Because there is one word in that book I can teach him again and again and again.
You picked a bad book for this.
I also want you to teach him using that book. And I want you to teach him what the book means. I want him to be able to read the book and understand it, not just recite the words. You understand?
Yeah. It's free. I'm a part of the crew, all right?
It's your job.
So, Broder, I want a clarification here, because the bilge means a couple things.
Right.
What specifically are you wanting her to
I'm
learn?
talking about the actual portion where water seeps in
Okay.
and it gets all gunky and gross right at the base of the
Okay,
ship
okay.
there. Yeah.
That's what
I don't mean the shitter.
No, I didn't think you meant that, because for starters, the ship of this size doesn't have one.
Right.
Well, it does. We're floating it.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
just poop right over the
precisely.
rail.
Yeah, you have a literal toilet seat or something there likes, probably off the back of the ship that you sit on and do your business while everyone politely looks away. But no, I was just because the bilge it describes both a portion of the ship's walls, but it also describes the water that collects there around. And I wasn't sure which, like, were you wanting her to actually scrub the surface of the ship, or were you wanting her to
Man the pump.
pump
Here's-
water? Yeah, so that's
See,
what
here's the thing. Joe gave her an order. She's going to have her interpretation. Frankly, I don't know what's going to happen.
I mean, she knows what the bilge is. And by this point, I mean, she's been on the ship a couple days. This is not the first time you've pumped the bilge.
Yeah, my intention is to pump the bilge and scrub it clean.
Okay, so
It's the go-to punishment.
all right, so she comes into the enclosed house on the boat, and she opens the hatch to the area below, and crawls around in there, and you hear her getting to work, and then you hear some foul language, and then the foul language gets put to music, and it smells awful.
Mm-hmm.
And you're aware that there is also another hatch near the back of the ship she could have been doing this through.
Okay.
But she's doing it.
Uh-huh. All right. I'm going to go over to the hatch.
Okay.
I'm going to close it.
Okay.
I'm going to stand on it.
Okay.
And I'm going to review my charts.
You hear
Hello?
it's dark in here.
Huh.
Huh, all right. Pumping the bilge, pumping the bilge.
Did Joe choose it? Nice.
Finally score 1 point, Joe.
Sorry.
Joe 1, Emily 42.
Okay. So, Joe, some time passes.
I'm not gonna stand on there for more than a minute or two.
Right.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So some time passes, and she comes out not in her best shape, having finished this, and she. So you said, are you still on a bunk going over some?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. She gets up on the bunk, uncomfortably close to you.
Ugh.
And she has a book with her. And she says, Joe, I think we need to get you ready for tonight's dinner.
And what do you mean by that?
Well, Mortimer's an embarrassing savage,
Now, that's hurtful.
but
He's just different.
okay, the bilge water is also different than the water you drink. How interchangeable are we going to make those?
What's your point?
You're illiterate.
If you mean I can't read, that's right.
Okay, you're illiterate and have a small vocabulary.
Also,
Two birds with one stone.
also right.
So, Captain, to pass the time doing something other than pumping nasty river water, why don't I teach you how to read?
I haven't learned to read at this point. I don't understand why it matters.
Are our bunks all close together?
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Look over. You could have read the contract if you could read.
Ooh, that's true. That's very true.
Okay. I've got a lot of responsibilities and things.
Okay, let's cut the bullshit. You're embarrassed that like a 13-year-old girl is going to teach you how to read. You don't want to look stupid. We're out here on the river in the middle of nowhere. I can't even go home right now because I don't know what would happen to me.
I'm not going to judge you, Joe. I'd be proud of you for bettering yourself.
I don't know how to look. Fine. I was hanging off the side of your boat because I didn't know how to escape. I didn't know how to leave the town. Hanging off a boat was the best plan I had. In retrospect, pretty dumb plan. And when you took me on, I did a magic trick to get Mortimer to sign a contract because I was afraid you were going to kick me off. Because if you kick me off, I don't know how to survive at all outside of Grandpa's house. Now, I'm a 13-year-old girl. By this point, most kids my age, they know something about surviving out there. I don't. I spent most of my life in one house. Sometimes, if I got really brave, I got to spend it in the yard of that house. But something came along and made me have to go out and do something. Do something different. Do something a little crazy. Do something a little dangerous. And it was embarrassing. And it was stupid. So now maybe I can do that for you. Teach you how to read. Because you've got this whole river. You've got this whole world. And there's so much of it you're getting to see. But there's so much of what you see you're not understanding. Like when I would look out the windows, I'd see all this stuff going on, but it was always passing me by. I used to pretend I could hear what people were saying. I tried to learn to read lips, could never do it. Just couldn't. I couldn't find a book in the house anywhere that would teach me how to do it. So I just pretend like this is what they're talking about. These are the things that regular people do. Life was just out there going on while I sat inside. And you're kind of like that, but in reverse. You're moving all over the place. But every time you pass by someone like me, something that's just sitting still, you really don't get it. You're on the other side of that window, wondering what's going on. So let me show you. Let me show you what's going on, just like you're showing me. Let me show you my side of the window.
All right.
And there's a book that I picked. Lee wanted me to start with a different book. I'm going to do that one second. Because there's a different book that I think tells our story a little bit better. Your and my story. It's kind of like My Side of the Window. It's a book called My Side of the Mountain.
Okay.
It's a book about a boy who gets tired of living a life in a place that's full of education, but it's full of rules. It's full of a lot of things he can't do. And so he runs out on his own to live in the wilderness. And it's about the things that he experiences and the things that he learns and does there. And it's about the relationship that he has with family and friends during and after all those changes in his life. Maybe it can kind of be like our story.
Don't you think we should start with something a little bit more basic than a whole book?
Well, okay, if you want, maybe while we're in St. Louis, I can see if I can find like a chalkboard or something and we can try to learn.
I've got an idea, Emily. I start digging through my bag. I pull out a book. I walk over and I hand it to her.
Wayne is writing something.
Yeah, Wayne's
down.
writing for the sake of the people that don't have any visuals on.
Well, I was just, if that mic's good enough, I mean, that pencil's loud.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, how about this one then? She digs around again, and she comes back with it's a little bit weathered and dimmed from the years, but it's still very, very brightly colored. Has a sort of a sky blue cover to it. This big, like, 11-inch tall by, like, 8 or 9-inch wide children's book. And when she opens it up, some of the cardboard in there even stores. It's a pop-up book. And it's a book called My Bird is Brighter Than My Brother. And it's actually, it's a more or less, it's partially educational, but it's basically a glorified, I mean, hey, it's why they show commercials during kids' shows.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you get the kids to say they want it, then mom and dad get pressured into buying it. Same kind of thing, except it's for a GC bird that existed prior to the war, genetic construct, a product line bird.
For Brodor versus for Joe. For Brodor, there's a long track record of these books in the game. The first one I heard of was My Dog is Brighter, or My Dog is Smarter Than My Dad.
Yeah.
I actually, Lee has a list of books that he has, because he has a, quote, steamer trunk full of books.
Yeah.
And I've been writing them down as he's been reading them, or it's been coming up as they've been defined. And I almost wrote down my dog is smarter than my dad. Almost. But I'm like, we did that once.
And she also has a piece of paper and a pencil. No, she doesn't. She just has a pencil. She opens up the book, and she starts by writing 3 words in it. And she says, let's start with the 3 words right here that I think are probably the most important to you. This first one says James. This is Owen. This is Kreider.
Okay. I have to go use the restroom. I'm going to excuse myself from the bunk.
It's not raining.
Yeah, it's not. No, I'm not, Misty. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's not.
It's all the dust from an old book.
Yes, it's all that stuff she kicked up from the bilge. It's in my eyes. I'm uncomfortable with it. Yeah, so.
Okay.
Lee was leaning outside the door of this room, and as soon as she said that, he like walks away.
I look at her when he walks out, and that's a good thing you're doing for him.
Thanks. Hopefully this will pad things a little bit before he finds out about the 45 I took during that whole thing in the tunnels.
They're just gonna laugh.
Okay, a couple hours go by. It's not dark, but the sun is, starting to move towards it's starting to make its way towards the tree line. And one of the deckhands from the dancer informs you guys that the dinner will be ready in 15 minutes. So, make your final preparations and to take the beacon system.
Yes. Launch the beacon system.
God damn it.
I put on my fine clothes.
Your less smelly ones.
No, I actually have a set of fine clothes.
Oh, do you really?
Yep.
Nice.
And so you guys go up to the dancer for...
Lee is not with you guys.
Okay.
Before we left, so just if we can just rewind for just a second. If we're all gathered on the deck of the Vine and Lee's not around, or Lee's even if he's on deck.
He's on deck, but he's not with you guys or changing.
Then I holler back to him, Lee, come on, we've got dinner.
I'll stay with the ship. You never know what might happen. You guys are fine. Go ahead.
Where's Emily?
She's around. I mean, if you want.
Emily.
Yeah?
We've got space for a 4th. Lee's going to stay with the ship. You want to come with us?
Sure, why not?
All right. Don't be a bitch.
Fine.
Keep Mortimer in line. Use your mind tricks on him.
Keep Mortimer in line without being a bitch.
Welcome to life. It's full of contradictions.
I lean over to Philip. I'm not going to press the issue. Is everything okay with Lee? I'm sorry. I'm not going to press the issue, but is everything okay with Lee?
You remember when we first pulled up?
Yeah.
There was a masked person on there that he said didn't like him very much.
Oh, and of course that masked person's going to be at dinner, aren't they?
I don't know if that's why he doesn't want to come over, but that's my guess.
Yeah.
Is that why he said not to kill anybody?
I don't think so. I think that he said if you... just don't. We'll talk about it later. Yeah, and then I was... Sorry, Lee, wasn't thinking.
I'm going to get a card game going. I'm going to take the crew's money. Casey!
I can get it back.
I want to roll for how well the card game goes.
Okay. Just do a simple 2d6. Let's
2d6?
Oh! You got robbed!
Wow!
You were fleeced!
So for those of you at home, Chad rolled a 3 on 2d6. Casey rolled a 12
Good lord.
boxcars. So.
How am I going to tell Mortimer that Casey has all of his money?
Never. That's how.
Shit.
I was like, close quarters, that would be a short fight. Out in the woods, it'd be a different battle. But the close quarters, that'd be...
Mortimer would just kill me.
That's probably going to be where it rolls down.
Yeah. I don't care who would win between Casey and Mortimer, because I'd be dead.
Yeah, and so, okay. So, aboard the ship, aboard the Dancer, you guys are sitting in a mess area, and there are several chairs that have been pulled up. These chairs appear to be of post-war construct, unlike the table, which is a pre-war construct. While they have polished it down a bit, the table itself, and they've rolled a cloth over it, but it's just a steel dining table. And it's a relatively cramped space. There are cabinets and whatnot that line the walls. There are windows that look out, and you can see the passing river line. And though it's a bit muffled in here, you can still hear the roar of the engines. It's not so loud as to interfere with conversation, but you can most definitely hear it. And seated around the table is Amelie, Mortimer, Joe, Philip, and then the other two locations are taken up by Duchess and by the Captain Sandoval. And Captain Sandoval is actually dressed in something of a formal uniform. It's a dark blue colored uniform that actually has gold captain's markings around the cuffs and has epaulets. And I mean, it's not super fancy, but he is actually wearing a uniform. And Duchess is wearing when you first saw her, she was wearing I think it was a gray blazer and skirt.
It had a very distinguished and different colored collar.
Yeah.
To set it apart to kind of contrast with the dress itself.
And she's actually wearing it's not the same outfit, but in terms of coloration, it's pretty similar.
Like the house colors.
Yes, it is. And you guys would not know if this is chicken or egg, whether she's mimicking the house colors or the house colors mimic her. But you probably have over the years heard her called things like the Gray Lady. And it now doesn't take a genius to figure out why. And so as you guys are seated, they first, ironically, bring out some bottles of wine and begin pouring out water. Yes, it is nice water. And
I've had better. Yeah, I'll mumble it.
Okay. Duchess she shifts her napkin a bit in her lap and pretends not to have heard that. And says, Captain, I'm glad that you've had this opportunity. There's a problem that's been around, I suppose, as long as societies have been large enough to be organized, which is misunderstandings and disconnect between those that, allow me to be frank, those that rule and those that are ruled. And I don't mean to imply anything about our situation right now. I know you're not part of House Color. But certainly everything that you do is influenced by the governance that occurs within St. Louis, and I'm a part of that. And I hope that this has been informative in a way that you can carry up and down the river, along with all the other stories I'm sure that you have about the way that things work, the kinds of people that you're meeting, the sorts of things that you're seeing. And I hope also that your visit to deeper parts of the city are equally informative.
There was a note passed, Dan's reading it.
Yes. Okay.
I hope so too.
Captain, they start bringing out the first course of dinner, which is a selection of kind of it's dishes that have a. Ever seen the small plates that they go a little deeper than a plate normally would? They're almost saucer-like, but there's a division that runs through the middle that kind of separates one side from the other. On one side, in quarters, there's a couple different fruits, some like apples, cherries, and then some sweeter vegetables like carrots. And then on the right side of that is a like a compote to dip it in. And she takes one of the outermost forks and begins lightly nibbling on this food.
Well, I'll follow suit and take my outermost fork and just kind of mimic how she's eating. I mean, not copy her, but basically use her to inform my etiquette.
Are you worried? Are you worried?
In truth, I'm a little nervous.
Why?
I've never had a meal this
Oh, excuse me.
formal.
I probably should have been more clear. I don't mean about the meal.
Oh, worried about St. Louis?
Yes.
Well,
The next couple of days, I'm sure, going to be unusual for you.
well, Lee's tried to put some fear into me about what St. Louis is and how dangerous it is, but you know, I suspect that, well, at least until we've completed our testimony, our safety has a significant value to you. So my assumption is that you'll be looking out for us, or at least someone from House Color will be looking out for us.
Quite right. And if I would like to point out that if Lee has put fear in you, allow me to put a certain amount of a sense of safety back into you. Lee was at the heart of our society. He was at one of its most important positions. And using the rules and the laws that were set forth, he was able to leave, now works in your employ, and I believe, as you observed.
I'm sorry. Lee may be a member of my crew, but he's not in my employ.
As you wish, but
Oh, no, I was simply saying that Lee's his own man, regardless of who he
I meant
works for.
as you wish to phrase it. But he's unharmed. He's not mutilated. He's not driven mad.
Yeah.
How many people did he cross to leave?
Oh, enough of the ones that matter.
Because that's what makes me nervous, is that we're about to cross some powerful people. And like you said, I'm sure we'll be safe as long as we're under your protection. But what about a month from now?
I'm afraid I don't have any answers. I can't tell you what a month from now holds. I plan the future. I don't see it.
We're going to go and do what is the right thing to do, what we need to do. But, yeah, I don't know about Joe here, but I'm nervous.
Be cautious. But don't be nervous.
Got Motamar,
I ain't nervous. I'm using a spoon to just scoop out the paste.
Perhaps we can skip the soup course. Motomar, is it?
Ma'am,
How?
Here we go.
What's tomorrow going to be like?
much like any other day.
What about the day after that, you think?
It never changes. It's always the same.
What are you going to eat tomorrow?
I'm probably going to eat more of this. If you'll have me.
It's possible. What are you going to wear tomorrow?
Well, I won't be wearing this. These are my good pants. Miss Carster's made them for me.
And you're not afraid of...
Hmm?
And you're not afraid?
Nope. Yeah. I get food every day. I got a place to sleep every day. I don't have to worry about somebody taking what's mine. Today was a good day. Tomorrow will be a good day too.
Philip, James, do you think there's something that you could learn from your friend?
Ignorance is bliss.
Look at Emily and go, maybe you shouldn't be teaching me anything.
Hey, Emily's watching her, but is not saying anything. However, she does seem to be completely comfortable with the complexity of the meal. But she is very definitively not saying anything. In fact, her face looks strangely blank, almost dissociated. Like you're not sure she's quite there. I mean, she's not like
Drooling on her.
yeah, she's not catatonic. She is responsive, but there's something about her look that is almost dissociated. I didn't mean that. There's value in education. I certainly don't discourage that. I think more what I meant is what he described. Food on his table, a place to stay, people not taking the things that were his. You see, he defined very carefully the things that are his and the things that he can control. He understood the scope of his life. When people tend to get nervous is when they go outside the scope of their life. I have to imagine that if I was asked to take the wheel of this ship and to navigate it through the canal, that I would be quite nervous. Excuse me for speaking on your behalf, Captain, but Captain Sandoval, I have to imagine that you would be nervous sitting through one of the sessions that I have with the leaders of another house. Because these are not the areas that belong to us. It's not the things that we control. It's not the narrow circle that we exist within. And when people get nervous is when they start to reach outside of that, because they start to touch the unknown. They start to touch what to them appears to be a completely random, malicious, dark and churning place. Lee got himself excused from House Color because there was a system that he understood and was capable of navigating. Now, I don't know if he was nervous at the time that that was occurring or not, but he very deftly, very expertly maneuvered it because he understood it, because it was part of that circle, just as knowing he has a place to sleep and food to eat and knowing what is his is something that Motimer here feels very comfortable navigating.
All goes back to those basic desires. Really, that's why we're here, isn't it? You knew what was yours and someone's trying to take it. Maybe those are the only things that really matter. Knowing what's yours and no one's going to take it. Knowing you have a safe place to sleep and knowing you have food.
I knew there was a reason why you slept better than anybody else on the crew.
It's a question you have to ask yourself, Captain Crider.
The more stuff you have, the more stuff there is for people to take.
That one in particular. When you became the captain of your vessel, what did you want to be? The captain of your vessel or the captain of Herman?
I just want to be the captain of the Vine. I just want to live on the river. And I want to stay out of other people's ways. And I want the world to stay out of my way.
And so long as you are content with that, the problems that you encounter, the difficulties that cross your path, are all going to be the very predictable ones that you are incredibly familiar with, more familiar than I am. You know what's on the river, you know what it has to offer. And so long as you content yourself with that path, none of these things that are going around in my circle or anyone else's circle, it's not of any concern.
Pops, the captain I used to serve under, and the man who basically raised me, used to say, fancy people say with all due respect when they're about to say something that might be perceived as disrespectful. With all due respect, why do I feel like this dinner was about putting me in my place?
Well, with all due respect, you're taking advice from a man who burned down his own ship.
Very well. May I ask your point? If you're suggesting that I not have ambitions above my station, then point taken.
Captain, I'm not concerned that you represent an existential or political threat to me. I'm not trying to...
I don't even know what that means, but I never thought you considered me a threat of any kind.
I'm not trying to turn you into a gelding.
I know what that means.
I'm trying to get you through the next few days as focused and as free of fear as you can be. Because if you walk out into a place and you're surrounded by a spectacle, which you will be, and you get frightened and you buckle or you lock up, a whole lot of things are going to go very poorly for all involved. That's not a threat. I'm just telling you how it works. It does me no harm for you to live a life without fear. But my goal here is not to lock you into your place.
Very well.
Your place is already established. You have a ship that is legally yours, or very soon will be. You have a crew that seems to like you. It's a rowdy bunch, but the ship keeps moving forward. I thumbed through Mr. Weiss's book. It's not the first time that vessel has made successful stops and trades somewhere. Clearly the river is at least generally good to you. I want you to focus on that when you walk through all of the spectacle and all of the shadow and all of the distractions that are going to present themselves. Because if you have that kind of focus and that kind of confidence, if you have the focus and confidence, even a simplicity that your friend here does, then you're going to get through this just fine.
All right. I wasn't nervous before.
And you shouldn't be now.
Well, if things go sideways in the arena of the physical, I've got Motomar. If things get confusing or dicey as far as business dealings and who to talk to where, I've got Philip. As far as, well, anything out that would be, outside my peripheral of understanding and the ways of, what does Lee refer to it as? The machine. I've got Lee. So just like they put themselves in my hands when we're on the river, when we're on the boat, I'm going to follow their lead and put myself in their hands while we're in the city. So I appreciate your advice, and I'm sorry that I misunderstood what you were saying and I got heated. I apologize.
It's quite understandable. Does anyone have anything else they want to do here? If not, then okay. So you guys go through the courses of the meal. They bring out cooked meat and vegetables and whatnot, and then finally sort of a lemon tartish dessert.
Lemons?
Yes, lemons.
God, if only Lee was there.
And that actually may be a flavor some of you, or most of you, have never experienced before. And, okay. So then you guys go back to your ship to...
I do stop at the head before going back.
Okay.
There's no paper.
It's all stuck to Motomar's shoe.
Momar's like, let me borrow one of them there. What do you call them? Books.
You're supposed to put the whole roll in, right?
Just put a corn cob down the middle. All right. So you guys eventually go back to the boat for the evening. Unless you're going to do anything in particular, you guys... actually, it's not that long of a trip, so probably before even dinner's over, you guys are mooring in at St. Louis, and the ship is actually mooring at St. Louis because of the fact that St. Louis actually does have the capacity to moor large ships. Well, large by river standard ships. So you guys are moored at what used to be an industrial area just north of the main stretch of downtown. So you guys are moored a bit north of the arch. Normally, that's where you guys would port, is to the south by the arch. But you guys are moored up there. And going by the banners that are flying and such, you gather that this particular port actually belongs directly to House Color. And they start offloading the people and whatnot from the ship, at which point one of the deckhands, or one of the sailors from the Dancer, finds you, James, and says, Captain, where do you want us to tie up your ship for the night? You want to leave us, or you want us to leave her lashed to ours? Do you want to have us take it downstream somewhere?
Well, you can take us downstream. That's fine.
All right. Get down to then I tell you what we'll do is, I'm assuming I'm going to go with you along with a few armed men just to make sure that you guys make it back safely.
Do we need to make our own, do we need to organize our own place to sleep?
No, absolutely not. In fact, we are under strict orders not to allow it. So we'll give you a little bit of time to get your affairs settled down at the open market. If you have any affairs you need to settle, you'll be under escort, and then we'll get you to our territory for safe housing for the night.
All right.
All right, so you guys take the ship, and right about the time that the sun is actually setting, so there is still light, but about the time that the sun is the sky's starting to kind of turn blue-gray, you guys port in at right down near the main landing near the arch.
The landing.
The landing, yeah. Which is where you were some games back when the expensive water was first purchased. And You have half a dozen soldiers of color with you, along with that one sailor who seems to be serving more as a semi-learned man and guide than specifically as... Well, he is armed, but not heavily.
So how'd you like the boat, Joe?
The boat's great. Dinner was very good.
Good. Glad to hear it. What'd you have?
Well, we had some fruit, and we had a fancy, I don't know, not compost, but
Goop.
Goop. Yeah, we had some fancy goop.
Compote?
Compote. Thank you. That's the word she used. A variety of other. I guess the most interesting thing was the Defiance wines that we had. But there was she called it a lemon tart. It was a really strange. Like it had a.
Was it yellow?
What did she call mouthfeel? It had like a strange way that it felt in your mouth, but it was kind of sweet but tangy.
Lemon tart.
Yeah, lemon tart. That's what she called it. It was real citrusy.
A lemon tart.
Lemon. But that's what she called it.
Yeah, it was a lemon.
You guys had a lemon tart.
Yeah, that's what she said. Lemon. What's
A lemon.
a lemon? Yeah. I mean, I've never had one before.
Yeah, I had
In Missouri. In St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
All I have to say is, I was wrong.
About what?
I wrote a book a long time ago. And I was wrong in the book. But I'm going to leave it at that. So, we're here in St. Louis. Let's
go to a scratch house.
Dinner?
If you walk out of one of those scratching, you didn't pay enough.
So
Was that Emily?
Yeah.
dinner was weird because it was really strange because the thing is that everybody's always trying to push you. Everybody's always trying to push you in one way or push you
like when
that
you tried
way.
to push me overboard.
That was an empty threat. Besides,
Casey asked, well, he did say everyone.
That's true.
but it was weird because she was real subtle about it. I mean, Emily she was speechless, not just because she was, trying to not be nasty, but she just was, I don't know, she was really paying attention, really focused on what the
Emily
Duchess was saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's looking at him like,
Yeah, and I kind of looked between the two of them. I think she more just didn't want to be noticed or draw attention.
yeah, I don't like stuff like that. Been there a lot. Don't like it.
Well,
Seems like something you'd be good at.
I'm sorry the dinner was uncomfortable. I thought it'd be fun. Well, at least the boat was nice.
I thought it was fine. The food was good. And
Oh,
bathroom was really nice.
well, excellent.
No,
Was it good?
but it was
Fancy
strange.
in, fancy out.
That's true. Just wait till later.
But it seemed like, I don't know. I mean, she had us there and she wanted to make sure that I wasn't nervous and that.
Well, yeah, she's got a lot riding on this.
She's afraid of Joe locking up in the crowd and not being able to say what he needs to say.
It's going to get really weird in the next couple of days. So, I mean, I understand why she was concerned about us being nervous. So,
He accused her of trying to put him in his place.
Well, it's what it sounded like. She said
that's
because
kind of her job.
it was as if she'd heard our conversation about getting extra ships and making a fleet, and she's like, well, she kept pressing me about what I wanted and how I viewed things, and
How I saw the conversation was that she wanted to remind him that he was not a putting into place exactly, but beneath the rest of St. Louis. That as long as we focus on what we focus on, we'll be fine and we'll be safe because they won't care.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me. That's the machine. I mean, that's how it works. Everybody's got a role, a job, a place, a function, and from the lowest person to the entire organization. I mean, please don't take offense at it, or take as much offense as you want. But she didn't. I don't think she meant it personally. That's just how they think.
Yeah, but I think she was really trying to be reassuring and just didn't. She didn't realize how that would come off to you.
Well, that's probably what happened then.
Is she this machine?
She's part of it.
She kept asking if we were nervous and asked if I was nervous, and I told her no. But in truth, it was because that was the second time I was in her presence, and I could have killed her if I wanted to.
Sure, you could have.
But I didn't.
Are you nervous?
No.
Good. Good.
She didn't have anybody there to make me nervous.
Good. I think it's going to work out.
Should I be nervous?
Do you remember the conversation we had yesterday?
We did, when you started telling, campfire stories and,
How dangerous it is.
Yeah, I mentioned that to her, and she said that she was trying to reassure me and us that we were safe and everything was going to be fine and that we need not be nervous. Now I'm confused because
she needs you to not be nervous because she doesn't want you to lock up.
Well, I wasn't nervous until she made a big deal out of things.
Casey, should these guys be nervous?
Why bother?
All right, then.
Look,
let's get drunk.
I mean, Joe, Captain, let me ask, you going to walk into the town, you going to do this or not?
I am.
If you're pissing in your pants, you're going to do it. If you're stone cold killer in your mind, you're still going to do it. Might as well not be nervous while you do it.
Make it fun. Turn it into a song.
I really wasn't nervous until that conversation.
Would it help if I told you that you should be nervous? Is it the fact that people are telling you not to be nervous that's making you nervous?
It's the fact that everybody's making a big deal about talking to some people.
Alejandro and one of the other, I actually need to name them, one of the other guys that aren't your crew, they bring down Casey's device, and he sits down on the ground and says, and he takes off his shirt, and you can see more implants that have been built into his bone structure. Some of them appear to be in various states of overgrowth or mild infection. All right, I need two of you. Lift it up, one on each side. Just took it in there.
Well, I can't lift it. You guys.
All right. Is he expecting me to actually, put it on him?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I struggle with operating any kind of complex machinery.
This is just based, well, this isn't complex.
Okay.
It's just basically a series of latches and hooks.
Oh, I can.
It's like, yeah.
Go ahead, Joe. Last time I lifted it up, I dropped on my foot.
All right, I'll help Motomar lift it up and put it on. But now I am nervous. I mean, I don't say that, but clearly it's on my face. Now I'm concerned if Casey feels a need to put on this rig, that's nerve-wracking. Looking at what has been done to him by these people up close is nerve-wracking. The fact that there's been all this conversation about not being nervous is now nerve-wracking.
Casey also does something else. Chad, you've seen him do this before. The rest of you may not have, which is as they put it on, there's a case that he carries. And I think I actually mentioned it in one of his prior descriptions. And he takes out of it a small vial and a hypo takes an injection, puts it into his like right main line, and injects himself, and then puts it back into the case. And then his eyes kind of unfocus for a minute, and then refocus. He shakes his head and stands up and says, slaps his chest, is all right.
We're supposed to have some body armor waiting.
Well, I suggest we get up there to Collar and we get that. They also owe us a look at our GCs, so we might want to bring them too.
What man said?
All right, bark orders at a few of the crew to get the horses unloaded off of the deck. And
all right, let's work through how this works. Anything goes wrong, I want you to remember this little poem. I take that hit, you get that shit. That's the 2 steps to the plan.
Hit that shit. Got it.
Yeah. Whatever that is, you hit it.
Well, okay, you guys take care of that. I'll be back in a little bit. I'm going to go visit a friend of mine. And he turns around and he starts walking down the dock by himself.
Whoa, 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 whoa. We're not supposed to go anywhere alone.
Says who?
Says the Duchess.
Yeah, I left her.
Well, the soldiers are on
the soldiers are kind of standing around, and KC looks at them and says, I'm on his contract. I'll go with him.
There. Happy? Or do you want him here?
No, I feel better if somebody's with you.
Okay.
I mean, if
I'll be fine.
Now you've all got me in my head.
Lee goes, Joe, don't worry so much. And he turns around and goes walking off. You two make a perception check. I'm taking your game again. He's like,
I don't know what you're doing, so I can only tell you.
14.
Would my scouting have any factor in this?
Sure, why not?
Oh.
He's like, sure, why not?
Ugh. So plus perception, so that's 15.
They both got an average-ish success.
As Lee goes walking off down the thing, you guys turn back to Joe and about to say something, and you notice that where Lee went like this, there's now an ink smudge on his shoulder.
Ooh.
All right, Casey follows after you.
Joe, what was that stuff he shot into himself?
I don't know. That's probably the same stuff that are similar to what that doctor gave us. Some kind of painkiller.
The doctor that the Duchess ripped us off on?
One and the same.
Modemar is very fascinated with what he just did.
The sailor with he says, looking to the guards, says, all right, fan out, take a protective circle. Let's get these people safely to the house proper.
Dan, you know where I'm headed, right?
I do, and Chad, we need to... There's some stuff here that needs to be role-played out. My question is, do you want them here for it, or do you want them to go upstairs and...
It's up to you guys.
Watch A&E.
I'm a big fan of the secret stuff being done at the table. Yeah. Because, one, I think that you should trust the other gamers at the table to not be metagamers.
Okay.
But two, the game, even if you're not participating in the moment, is entertaining.
Yeah.
So,
and I trust you guys playing characters, no problem.
Okay. I was just curious because, whatever this needs to be on mic. So, I was just curious how you guys wanted to handle it. So, did I not name...
Yeah, but I mean, but someone had to go with you. Somebody.
If you say so.
I do say so.
It's my town, baby.
No, it used to be a town that you were a part of, and now you...
This is a Bright Lights big city.
Yeah.
I'm a metropolitan boy.
Yeah, yeah.
I will trip the light fantastic.
I don't know. I mean, you were a native son, but now...
Don't worry, Country Mouse. City Mouse has got this.
Yeah, but City Mouse is... City. You've done too much. There's so many people you've crossed.
But that's how things work here.
I'm concerned about your safety, considering what we're about to do.
I'm sorry. I've got the big guy with me.
You do now.
He hurts
You were going to go on alone, which would have been a mistake.
Yeah.
And I would have
Okay,
felt,
so the answer is yes, we're role playing this at the table with everyone else present. Okay, so Chad,
Yeah.
with Casey in tow,
And how much is Casey a part of this? Like on a scale of 1 to 10.
it's on a scale he doesn't care.
Okay.
It's
I understand that.
Yeah, oh yes. Yeah. I mean, keep in mind, he's been your co-conspirator in one way or another, literally since you got out.
He knows everything.
And he doesn't care.
Yep.
It's not his problem. It's not. Yeah.
Mm.
He's not even sure what his lifespan is. So
Okay.
he just doesn't care.
Okay.
All right. So, and in fact, that's what he says to you. You guys are walking after having seen that, exchange. He's like, I do not give 2 dams. Not 1 dam, not half a dam.
If you had 3 dams, would you give 3 dams?
No.
Well, you'd be rich and damn.
Let's do what you got to do.
Alrighty. Do you need to visit someone to resupply at some point? You've been out for a while.
I can take care of that with Caller.
Okay.
I've still got some friends in there who, well, unlike the Mast, look, we were all dancing with death all the time. We killed, we got killed. Changes your perspective. So down there, it's a weird sort of thing. You don't really have allegiance to the people you're fighting for. You have allegiance to the people that do what you do. In many ways, I'm closer to the pit fighters of House Holloway than I am anyone in House Caller outside of the other fighters. So all I got to do is walk in there and they'll give me what I need.
Sounds good to me. Anything I can do to help, just say so.
I appreciate that, but unless you know how to brew these little cocktails, then I'm afraid I'm on my own.
Maybe we'll talk to that doctor they're supposed to give us if we make it out of this.
We'll make it out of it.
Yeah, we will.
We got out of the city once before, we'll get out of it twice.
Absolutely. And hopefully we'll actually have some stuff in our favor this time when we do. But regardless, maybe we can figure out how to get me out of this shit I've got to do. Or figure something out, but regardless.
All right, what are our stops?
Gotta go to the Arch, the south leg, and do you know a William Zale? A.K.A. Sunset.
Sunset? Huh. Yeah. He set the sun on a lot of people.
Oh, wonderful. An intellectual then, yes.
No, he's not. No. I mean, okay, no, the man's probably not an intellectual. He's not stupid.
Yeah.
He's not the greatest mind of our time, if that's what you're asking, but he's not. No, he was a pit fighter.
No.
One of the few that actually no house was able to pick him up. He was good enough, came up from the trash around the slums and suburbs and worked his way up, was just good enough at free agenting that no house ever signed him because no other house would let any house do it. Remained a free agent, and last I heard he quit.
Well, I hate to dash your dreams, but I think somebody's running him.
Well, if somebody's running him, then somebody's running him.
Yeah, and that's his thing.
I'm not here to fight anybody, so...
And you know me, I don't judge.
Ain't my problem, and if he's retired, I don't know I don't know what shape anything of his mind, body, soul is in, so...
Well, we're just doing a handoff anyway. Well, let's get to it.
He's
the Arch.
a businessman, right? He's a good guy. He's actually quite friendly if you're not his job, and he does jobs in the pit. He's not a street killer. He's not the type of man that's likely just you walk into his house and he's going to attack you and kill you. That's not...
Well, gee, Casey, do you want to get his autograph?
No, I'm just telling you, you're not going to walk away with an imprint of his fist across your ocular.
Well,
I'm sorry, your orbital.
Well, that's good. But I do have 2, so... Shall we?
All right.
We go to the south leg of the Arch.
Okay, south leg of the Arch. There's, the leg of the Arch, at least as it is right now, as it was last time I was there. there's a little bit of a concrete rim around it, and that's the upper part of the foundations of the arch.
Yeah.
In one of the lower places where that gets a bit closer to the main ground between the arch, there's a guy dressed in ragged black and gray clothing, sitting there hooded.
Before I approach him, I stop and I immediately turn around in a circle, surveying. Has anyone followed us? Is anyone looking at us? Do I see one of these guys?
No, some of the merchants and some of the travelers, because this is a big open market that hasn't closed down for the night yet. Some of the merchants and drunkards and whatever that are hanging out, sailors that are hanging out in this area, they give some kind of odd looks to Casey, but you don't see anyone. I mean, give me a perception check. Or
2?
Yeah, 2d6 unless...
No.
Yeah, you're 2. I don't stand out, and I can't hide or kind of canceling.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Okay, so... yeah, you don't notice anyone that's, like, casing you, following you with a gun.
Right.
Anything like
Yeah,
that.
I would just want to see something obvious.
Yeah.
Or, like Joe hiding behind a tree. What's he up to?
No.
We're not there yet, our relationship.
No, not yet.
Okay. And this guy is directly under the top of the light. Okay.
And he's the only one sitting there.
Lee walks up to him.
And as you walk up to him, he's actually folding a piece. He's actually doing a little bit of origami. Nothing super complicated.
Just a unicorn?
Yeah, just pterodactyl.
Right. Okay.
You make him a little origami pterodactyls, and as you walk toward him, he kind of throws it at you, and it really doesn't fly. So it just kind of wafts a little bit and then falls at your feet. You know, it's an odd thing about this guy, though. He has strangely pale skin, sort of a sick pallor to him, and he's wearing a leather band around his head with 2 red glass circles over each of his eyes, like a pair of goggles.
I pick up the origami and absent-mindedly put it in my pocket and walk up to him. Hello.
I understand that you've got something good for me.
I believe I do.
So, he takes out some coins, searching them, enhances the quality. Did you, if I see it?
He takes out his journal notebook, and he flips several pages, and he kind of does a deep sigh. He's like, this is going to be painful. And he takes a lot of pages, and then he rips them out of his journal, and then he hands them to the guy.
Okay. Chad, at this point, I want you to give me an int check.
Okay.
Plus, you can go ahead and use your lawyering skills. So 3d6, pick the best 2. So I realize this is wildly in your favor. I want to see how good you did on putting this together. Because you were under pressure and had some limited time. And so 6...
Plus smarts?
Yes.
10, 16.
Okay. So he starts...
Did I make it, or should I say? Is this a difficult?
You did well. You could have done better.
Okay.
So if you want to throw in a bullet...
I'm not going for style points.
Okay. Like I said, you did well. You didn't get it all.
Okay.
So...
Yeah, actually, we'll throw in a bullet.
Okay.
I didn't get it all.
Add another d6 then. Okay. Or re-roll the 3d6, your choice.
I'll add another d6.
Okay. 5. So you can repick the best 2. So
5, 4,
5,
9,
4 is
19.
19. Okay.
Yep.
So he takes a look at it, and he starts reading through it, and says, I'd ask you if you know what this says, but I see your handwriting here. Chad, give me also 2d6 plus perception. This is gonna take a very high roll. Oh, you can get it. 9.
6, 7, 8, 9, plus 7. 16.
Okay, 16. He did not quite get it.
I can, actually, I'll...
If you're gonna bullet, okay.
Yep.
You add a d6. Okay. As he looks at each page, it's very, very quiet, but you hear. Okay, so what he's wearing on his head appears to just be literally just like a strip of leather that you can't see how it's fitted to the back. You don't know if it's like a hook or it's tied because it's under the hood. But it literally is just like it's just like a bandit mask type strip of leather with 2 holes cut in it, and there are 2 red glass discs in those holes.
Yeah.
And it's not like this big sophisticated looking thing, but he's flipping the pages rather quickly. And each time he flips to a new page, you hear it is at first like you think it's you, or you're hearing something else, or you need to go to mop. But you are hearing a very faint click from his goggles every time he flips a page. And so he flips through this, and as he's flipping through it, so I'd ask if you know what's in here, but your handwriting, this isn't the original. Just fine. I don't need the original. All I needed was the tales of the town.
Which town?
All of them. It's a beautiful thing. Do you know what the value is in the tales of the towns that you copied from that book?
It's immense because it's the truth. Whereas what we produced was political.
It's a truth. You see, your friend, he uses this, all the information he's gathered, all the stories he's gathered, all the people he knows, he uses it to exploit a town. Now, he uses it to exploit it to merchant, right? He goes in there and he uses it to get the best deals. He uses it to sell his wares, to know who's there. But when you have information like this, you can exploit a town any way you want. And I appreciate the fact that your friend has been gathering all this information so beautifully, so diligently for the 2 of us.
I know. I'm so proud of myself.
He's done a fine job. My full favor is with you for the work that you've done here. He exploits it for trade, makes a fortune. But to me, this isn't money.
His money's worthless.
Money is worthless. What do you think is worthwhile?
Personally or in general?
Let's hear it either way.
Personally, I think a quiet and subtle revolution is worthwhile.
You're starting to understand. A little riddle. You like riddles?
Love them.
What is it that everybody wants and everybody gets, but nobody has? Everybody wants, everybody gets, but nobody ever has.
What?
The future. His future, right here. Make a buck, make a buck, make a buck, make a buck. I don't want that. I don't want the money. I want the future. Where he's going to make a buck tomorrow, or he's hoping to make a buck tomorrow. You and me, we're going to burn an empire.
This is the point where I say, if you say so, pal.
Don't worry. I got you covered.
Oh, great.
That's why I got you out of this city in the first place. He takes the book, tucks it under his arm, pulls his hood down a little bit.
Do you need those papers?
Um,
As you said, my handwriting. I'd like to burn them.
Fair point. I got what I need. He
He
hands it.
goes, and click, click, click. You don't need them.
Nah. I don't need them, and there you. He hands them back to you and says, dispose of them as you'd like. You getting caught doesn't do either of us any favors.
Fair enough. He takes the papers.
Adieu and on to task 2.
Adieu, adieu, adieu.
Sunset. He's got the favors for you.
Yeah. I heard that he might punch my left orbital, so...
No. If you get hurt by him, if you've got it, you got it. I see it. You got it. if you got it and you haven't messed with it and you bring it to him, if you get hurt by him, it's going to be getting crushed in a bear hug, believe you me. He's going to love you.
How about I give you a riddle? What do you need, but they used to have a lot of, but doesn't exist anymore? Prozac. He turns around and walks away.
I was going to guess medicine. Casey is just kind of, he follows behind you, saying nothing, looking.
Saying nothing, yet saying everything.
Yeah, I'm watching this guy oddly, but not reacting to him. By the way, that was the Patreon vote, was they voted. They wanted to know why it was Lillian told Philip when she handed him his logbook that you have no idea the value of what you're holding here.
Nice.
What they voted is they wanted to know why that was true.
So I...
Which kind of surprised me. I was expecting
you were
some
going like, oh my god.
No, holy crap! When you're talking about copying, and I'm like, okay, when did he have opportunity to copy books? What's going on? Holy shit!
Yeah, it was a bombshell that was what he was taking.
Right. Mm-hmm. Wow. And see, that's why you got to do this stuff at the table, because we'll play that we don't know that information, but holy crap, that was entertaining.
I passed Dan a note saying that Lee lost all of his money very quickly at the card game that the whole crew was playing. And then while you guys were at dinner and then they were playing the card game, he drifted out, went down to Phil's bunk, transcribed his book. And then when you guys were talking on the decks, he absentmindedly patted you on the shoulder, had you guys make the perception check, saw the ink smudge from his hand on his shoulder.
We saw the ink smudge, but didn't think anything of it because he's always working with ink.
That's right.
Yeah, precisely. Also, why nobody on the boat thought anything of it, because every person that would have been educated enough to recognize what was going on was off the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone that was on the boat would have just seen a man who always works with paperwork, copying paperwork, and thought...
Except for the guy who
Yeah.
was going to do it.
Philip would have
Gave
known.
up his seat at dinner.
Yeah, Philip would have known what it was. Emily would have known what it was. But everyone who would have known was gone. Okay.
I've been trying to figure out how to get that goddamn book for like 3 weeks now. Oh my god, my whole plan was to bribe Emily. I'm glad I didn't have to do that. Jesus, that was...
Bribing her would not be easy.
No, it
Because
wouldn't.
money doesn't motivate her.
No.
She
I would be
She gave up a fortune.
Yeah.
Well, at least temporarily.
I'd be into her for favors forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw the opportunity. I'm like, oh my god, I lost all the money. Why? Book.
So, all right. So, Chad, on to stop 2. Okay. As you guys start to walk away from the arch grounds, you are now headed into the parts of downtown. And by the time that you guys are going to get where you get, it's going to be genuinely and truly dark.
Mhm.
And so...
No streetlights. do they have
there
streetlights?
are, but not where you're going.
Okay.
Because you guys are going out towards places like South City, which now effectively are just a mix of what they call slums and suburbs.
Sure.
Because the two are basically interchangeable at this point, because St. Louis really only maintains law and order in an area they care about. So if you wander outside of the areas the houses care about, it's really going to get to what is the prevailing neighborhood attitude. Some neighborhoods actually are pretty peaceable or self-policing, and so long as they don't interfere with the functioning of the machine, nobody cares. They just let them do it, and that's fine. And it's the same on the flip side. Some of them are really messed up, and as long as it doesn't, it's like crime off the Vegas Strip.
Yeah.
If it spills onto the Strip, organized crime cares.
Yeah.
If it stays off the Strip, organized crime doesn't care because it doesn't get in the way of business. It's kind of like that. All right. So let me ask you a question, because there are 2 things here that could happen relatively about the same time. Do you guys want to hear the second part of Chad's story, or do you guys want me to give you some camera
their
time?
story.
You guys want to hear your story for a while?
I was thinking second part of Chad's. but
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
I too was going to vote second.
Okay, you've been outvoted.
Okay.
So, okay. All right. So, Chad, for the second part, you...
Done a lot of bullets.
as you guys get away from, as the sun starts to set, the street lights start to, or you get out of the street lights and it starts to get dark. Casey hits a few buttons on the side of the box on his back, and the thigh sections deploy down and lock into place, and the structures that add strength to his arms deploy along with the fists that extend in front of his own, and he fully deploys that frame. And there's a couple times where you guys kind of walk around a corner and you're not at all a big or intimidating guy. And
Yeah.
some people kind of maybe look at you a little bit, start to think, here's a mark, and then see and or hear Casey, and nope, it is not worth the trouble. Because, well, for starters, his exo suit, if they hit it, it's going to bounce a bullet anyway.
Right.
So, all right, you make your way to a house in South City that does not have electricity. It's lit by oil lanterns. It's one of the old brick row houses, still standing. I mean, those things, they're built to last.
Sure.
Some of them, even as of today, are well over a century old. And so these brick row homes, and you find the address that you're looking for. And I'll assume you walk up to the door and knock.
Yeah. I'm walking by Casey and we're looking at the addresses and I'm like, what do you think, Casey? Do you think that they kept the old postal system, the numbers and the houses, the streets? Or do you think that they made new ones?
I think they kept the old ones.
I think so too. Because then they would have to make new numbers or scavenge the numbers.
He hits a switch on the side of one of his arms, and that bit of the exoskeleton or kind
Armor plate.
slides back, so he has access to his actual hand. And he reaches up and touches there's a 12 on the door, and he kind of pushes the 1 to the side a little bit and the 2 because they're just tacked at the top, not at the bottom as well. And you can see where the paint beneath them is a different color than from weathering than the.
And it's the outline of the 1.
It's the outline of the 12.
Has anyone ever told you you're stupid?
Well, certainly no one's ever appreciated me for my intellect.
Fools. They're all fools. You are the smartest man on the ship.
I don't know about that. I just watch a lot of things. Watch everything.
See, that's my problem. That's actually Phil's problem and my problem. We're smart. Whatever. That doesn't mean anything. We go, we do, we have plans, we're running. You stop and observe.
That's why Emily's actually the
No.
most dangerous on the ship.
That is intelligence. That's real intelligence. You know what? Joe would also be one of the smart, and we're in this like super dangerous dark neighborhood. and he's just having this philosophical conversation.
That's not a.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Occasionally, you hear. I mean, you do hear just some random things like people yelling in friendly tones.
Sure.
But every so often, you do hear something that's not a pleasant tone.
And it's just like whoop, right over Lee's head. Lee's not like, oh, I'm brave and bad. No, it's just whoop, right over his head.
Yeah.
But Joe, that's Joe's thing. Joe's a smart guy. You know what his problem is? He doesn't think he's smart. He's got the block.
Nah, he's afraid. He's afraid of what he is, what he has, what he could be.
Then you know what Motomar's problem is? Not afraid enough.
Yeah. Especially, well, if you think about where he came from.
I actually try not to. But I can't help it.
I know, but look, if you were from that background, wouldn't you be a little scared, a little traumatized, a little wrong in the head? I mean, more.
Oh.
I don't mean his dead puppies and ripping off his pants thing. I mean, I mean like.
I think he'd do that regardless. He's just that kind of guy.
Yeah, it's you go to the right place, people pay you to act like that. I'm not talking. I don't mean any of that.
Yeah.
But I mean. This guy is look. I don't even want to think about it.
Like I said, I try not to. Shall we?
Right then the door opens. There is a black gentleman who looks to be maybe lower 30s. He's not an old man by any stretch of the imagination. in extremely good physical shape. Definitely pound for pound, bit for bit, is at least Casey's equal. At least you don't know without actually seeing them go at it, but is at least Casey's equal. And as soon as the door opens, his eyes only briefly look at you, and then beyond him, you can see the inside of the house, a bit sparsely furnished. There's a little half table up against the wall right inside the door. Has a vase on it that's got a mostly wilted flower in it. There's a few little knickknacks, odds and ends, kind of junkyard art type of stuff that's scattered here and there. And the eyes of this guy, so they just very briefly sort of skip off of you and look Casey just dead in the face. And he just goes, "Oh, fuck, you've come to collect." And Casey looks right back at him and says, "That's right, Sunset. Don't think I'd forget after all these years." And Casey pushes you aside, walks right up to him, grabs him by the shirt, pulls him close, and goes, "You get me that beer right now, you motherfucker." and Sunset's like, "Casey, you son of a bitch, how can you disappear all these years? What, 3, 4 years?" And Casey says, looking at him, "Hey, take a look at yourself. You got a mirror in here?" Looks to me like I've been gone 10 to 20.
Lee just leans against the stoop. He's patient. He pulls his hand from under his cloak off the handle of his shotgun, and, which is good because he probably would have hurt himself.
And Casey's like, "Bill, friend of mine here, he's got something for you." And you hear a woman's voice from inside. Sounds older, weaker. Call down, "Billy? Billy? Who's there? It's not trouble, is it?" And Sunset shouts back up, "No, Ma, it's just some friends come to see me. Been a damn long time since I've seen them." And
come on in.
Come on in. Why don't you guys just pull yourselves up a chair? And he puts you guys, you're on the lower floor in what would have at one point been the den or living room, and there's an old coffee table there, and he picks up one of the oil lamps, moves it over to the middle of that table, drags up some battered wooden chairs, and pulls up one for each of you, and Casey kneels down, and with the help of Sunset, they take off the exosuit so he's free of it, and he can sit in one of the chairs, because he couldn't.
Yeah.
And so they sit down, and the two of them go back and forth for a bit. Small talk, people they knew. Did you hear what happened to so-and-so? Somebody we know got splattered.
Yeah.
Moment of silence for him. They kind of go back and forth a bit like that.
Lee goes into the kitchen, looks around. Is there any beer?
Okay. When you walk into the kitchen, there's a candle that's lit in there. And you see a woman that she doesn't look young, 50s, maybe 60s, hair's gray, matted, disheveled looking, her features are thin, she does not look well, and does not seem to have a lot of strength, and her hands are shaking a little bit as she's trying to eat a meager sort of mismatch of meat and vegetables that, Chad, you can tell is scavenge. This is not what anyone would buy for a meal. It's scavenge. And by this candlelight, and upon seeing you enter the room, she looks up at you, dead silent, and the look in her eyes is one of more like, whatever this stranger's about to do to me, there's nothing I could do about it anyway. So it's just kind of, whatever's going to be is going to be, and that's sort of the look she gives you. She doesn't say anything. She just looks at you in dead silence.
Lee nods his head at her. "Ma'am? Got any beer in here for the boys?" I get it.
She puts down her the knife that she was trying to use to stab the meat and eat it, and says, There is. It's, I'm afraid it's more decoration than real.
Oh.
It hasn't worked since, I can't even remember.
Oh, is that so? Lee says this, and he kind of like going through their drawers and cabinets.
Like,
I mean, I'm sure they have a working refrigerator.
No, you're too young to remember. She points. There is a refrigerator.
It isn't plugged in.
It doesn't work. It's probably got no coolant. Even if it had power, it probably wouldn't work.
I open it.
There's not much in there, but they do have a couple bottles of beer in there.
Mm-hmm.
As if this was a meaningful place to put them.
Yeah, I mean, momentum is difficult to stop.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
So yeah, Lee leans in. He grabs 3 beers, if there are 3 beers.
Yeah, there are.
And he goes, "Thank you for your hospitality, ma'am." Closes the door and walks out.
Okay. So you walk back into the front room and
disperse the beers.
Yeah.
Let them continue. He stays out of the way.
Okay. They as you walk, so they pop off the tops and they just kind of keep on talking, and every so often they come to a name and they kind of pause for a moment of silence, and Sunset says, "If you pour out any of that shit on my floor, I will kill you right here." And Casey says, "How about we drink it for him instead?" One for old Zane, and they tilt it back, and and this goes on for a bit, and after the pleasantries have gone on for a little while, finally Sunset says, "So, I'm happy. It's great seeing you. I'm happy to extend my hospitality as long as you guys want to stay, but at the same time, I don't want to keep you. What brings you out my direction?"
Lee, he brought the bag with him. He takes the bag and he goes, puts it in front, respectfully, he just doesn't toss it over. He puts it like, if there's like a coffee table or something there, he puts it on the coffee table and he leans back, doesn't say anything.
He takes the bag, pulls it over, he opens it, and looks through it, and says, "Wasn't expecting you guys to be the courier, but..." He pats it and says, "You see the man that gave you this stuff, then tell him if this works, I'm in." And he pulls out of it, one of the things that he pulls out of it is it's a metal box. You have no idea what its contents are. Mm-hmm. It's a metal box. It's not all that large. It's closed with a latch. There is no rust on it. There is no sign of age to it. Whatever this is either new or it has been perfectly preserved. And there is some writing on it, but unless you gave me a hell of a roll, it's way too dim and way too small of a print to read.
Give a shot at...
Okay, so you're going to need to give me...
Not that.
No. Okay. So you don't catch any bit of it. You have no idea what this is.
And Lee's not, making a thing out of it either, so...
Then he pulls out the only other thing that's in the satchels, he pulls out, there's a bottle of liquor. It's a bottle of vodka. Mm-hmm. And he says, "I guess this is for the pain." He pops off the top and takes a slam of it, and then goes over, shaking his head and breathing out that burn, puts it up on a shelf, goes into the kitchen, and you can hear the old woman talking to him. She's like, "What's that you got there, Billy?" And he says, "It's medicine, Mom. It's medicine." And you can hear him opening the case. And, Chad, you hear a hiss. Like, you've heard this before because of where you've been.
Yeah.
That was a pneumatic injector.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever he just had, he had a also relatively sophisticated delivery mechanism for. And you hear her, you hear a few pats, and she's like, "Oh, bless your heart, Billy, you take such good care of me, but you know there's no fixing me." And Sunset says, Mom, I always got to hold out hope. I always got to hold out hope and do my best so long as I draw breath. You're going to get better. And he walks back into the room, stops at the door to the room for a moment, leans against the wall, this very long, sort of sad look on his face. Very thoughtful. And reaches into his pocket, walks over to you, and says, I'm not going to hold you any longer because I need to not change my mind. If you see him, you tell him, if this works, I'll be there.
Will do. Can I have the bag?
Knock yourself out. I don't give.
Thank you.
And he tosses the satchel back to you.
That's awesome.
Like that. He takes the bag.
Okay.
And as they're walking back through...
Sunset helps Casey get his frame back on, and because he's more than surrounded by himself.
Yep. The last sort of lamp out or candle that's closest to the door, Lee, as they're leaving, Lee takes the notebook paper he transcribed Philip's book onto, and he taps the end of it to get it lit. He's not engulfed in flame, kind of light it, and then he walks outside, and he's kind of like letting it burn, and he walks out into the street.
As you're doing that, since he's got the metal hands, the ones in front of his real hands, Casey, as the pages start burning down, he starts taking some of them from you and holding them in the palm of that metal hand as they burn out completely, and just lets the wind carry the ashes away.
Yeah.
All right, so back with the other group. Rewind the clock a bit. It's, once again, it's graying outside, but the sun is still barely up, or partially up. This is not as late as it was.
You have a Merilith wallpaper on your phone.
Is he really?
All right, so yes. Actually, a listener sent that to me. He sent me a picture, and I made it the background on my phone.
Mine's actually kind of skies of glass inspirational. Yeah, you guys can pass that around.
Oh,
it's a space shuttle.
Wow,
with
that's fantastic.
It's a space shuttle on the launch pad, overgrown with a guy on horseback riding past it.
So Joshua Mead sent me some time ago this picture of this Merilith on my, and then I just made it the background on my phone, so you can see this lovely
and as you turn the screens,
desert
the
Merilith.
train moves.
Well, that's cool.
So you get just the engine of the train in the beginning, and as you go further to the right, you get more and more of the train.
See, you know what? There's a neat moment happening here. Mm-hmm. Because Chad is discovering what's on our phones as opposed to already being intimately familiar with what's on our damn phones.
Yeah, no, I was just looking at the time. I was like, okay, shit, we got time to do this. Let's go.
Okay, so they take you guys. We'll see how far we get. I hope we don't end before a particular plot point, but there's a chance we may. All right, so they take you guys northward, back up toward where the mooring was for the dancer. So they're taking you back up that direction. The city in this direction that you're seeing is very different than the city that Chad and Casey just saw. Because the city that you're walking through, the streets appear to be in relatively good repair. They are relatively clean. The houses around here appear occupied. While not everything is certainly new, there's a lot of salvaged and refurbished things. You see porch lights that are on. There are street lights that have power. The people appear to be at least passably groomed and dressed. Once again, we're not talking the finest of pre-war society here, but it's a very, very different sort of place than what the post-nuke ghetto that Casey and Lee were just walking through. And the guards that are walking in a column of 3 people on either side of you are warily watching the individuals as you pass, but don't seem to take note of anything too specific. You guys are taken to a facility that is surrounded by a tall iron fence, and there are some post-war built sheet metal, not very tall, but guard towers that go up maybe about 2-3 stories, spaced out along that iron fence. Then on the inside of this is a heavy brick, what used to be a cathedral. And I could, if you guys remind me, I'm actually making a note here. I don't know if I remember or not. I'll try to actually post a link to the particular one that I have in mind. But I know exactly which one it is I'm thinking of. But it's made out of brick. In addition to the church, the church or the cathedral has sort of a courtyard to it. It almost has a pseudo-monastic look to it. And by looking, once again, by the banners and the dress of the people that are around there, and also just by the visible sense of relief once you're in there, you get the sense that where you're at is the headquarters of House Caller. And once you guys are through, they close the iron gates, the iron fence back behind you, and at this point the guards break off, and the sailor says, well, I guess I'll take you to your quarters from here, and then I gotta get back to my duties, but I'll make sure that they know you're here. And he takes you inside, and you're not sure what the layout of this building was pre-war, if this is identical or not, but he takes you to a particular wing of the building, and once you're inside, you walk down a wood-floored, dark wooden-floored hallway, boards creaking a bit, and they put you up in rooms and you're going to a room, but they put you in these rooms where you're splitting the rooms, and they do have windows, but the windows look inward to the courtyard. You're not on the outward face of the building. And within these rooms, beds, wash bowls that are full of clean water, pitchers of water, cups that have that are there for you. There are the 2 beds that are in each room. The sheets, the quilts that are on them generally actually match from bed to bed. They appear to be of a uniform design or a uniform manufacture. And there's a wardrobe with some drawers in each one and a dressing mirror. And that's where he leaves you.
Or before he goes, excuse me, are we free to move about?
Yeah, sure. Let me go. I'll always tell the Duchess that you're here and settled, and make sure she's okay with it. And we'll take your horses, and we'll tie them up in the courtyard right where you can see them.
You said 2 to a room, right?
Yes.
I'm guessing you 2 probably grab a room. And since he's not there yet, I'd probably by myself in a room for now.
No, you'd be with Emily.
Oh, we did bring. Okay.
Yeah. Well, now tell him we also have 2 more. Our friends Lee and Casey are still out and about.
He smacks a door frame that's 2 doors down. Come in here.
Okay.
I was told we are the keepers of this facility were told to be ready for 6, so we got space for 6.
So I go into the room. I pull out. I don't have all of my stuff with me, but I have.
Touch my groats.
I have my a brand new. I have a new notebook that I haven't started yet.
Okay.
And I start filling in everything that I've seen and all of my notes about St. Louis and this part of it.
Okay.
This doesn't fit with my previous St. Louis notebook, so it gets its own. And I start filling all of that out. And I have as I kind of sit there, Is there like a nightstand?
Sure. Yeah, next to the beds, yeah.
I have my, I pull out my
Yeah, as I said,
dolphin carved. I have a little wooden dolphin that's carved, and I have it set there. And I just kind of face it towards me as I sit there and I start making my notes about St. Louis.
Wayne, give me a perception check.
Fail it, fail it, fail it, fail it.
15?
I think he's going to fail it anyway. We'll see.
15.
Okay, yeah. He actually did lose it. Not.
Oh, shit!
Throw in another. Okay.
3 more.
Okay, you won it by 1.
Damn it.
It was a 17 to a 15. You won it by 1. As you're sitting there writing, you see a hand reaching up for the dolphin, and Emily almost was able to grab the dolphin without you noticing. Almost.
Okay. You like it?
She picks it up, turns over her hands, and she says, she pushes the wash basin a little closer to you. It's like, it's really clean water. You should let it go for a swim.
I don't know that it's been treated for water.
What's the point of... She turns it over, looks at it. Dolphin. What's the point of a dolphin if it can't swim?
To remind me of home. My sister made that for me.
One of the Midwestern dolphins that swam all about Herman. I can see why it reminds you of home.
I used to read my sister a book. It was Island of the Blue Dolphin. And it's about a little girl who ends up by herself on an island. And it spoke to her because she doesn't like town. She thinks there's so much more in the world out there. She feels trapped like that girl in the book was. So the dolphin was something she made for me when I first left home. When I first got on the boat.
Your sister, blonde-haired teenager, a few years older than me,
Yeah.
with a potty mouth.
I don't know about that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody else does.
You know, it's funny, because I used to watch her and think about how free she was and how much I wished I was as free as she was.
Yeah, she just doesn't see it.
No, I guess not. But you should still let it swim. She puts it back down and it kind of sort of walks, sort of skips out of the room. Duchess walks into the room. There's a mast in tow with her that has a book that it's closed, but he's holding it. And he's got a pen, like an actual pen.
What's his mask look like?
His mask, if you were... It almost has the look of fire. It's not colored like fire, but it's very it's kind of a shallow roundness toward the chin, and then a lot of asymmetric spikes near the top. Looks like I said, it has very much look of fire to it.
I close my books to the side, look up. Duchess, how may I help you? Or, Duchess, what may I do for you?
Well, I wanted to make sure that you made it here safely, of course. Would not have been my first choice to have you port so far down the river, but you're here. No sense in worrying about it.
Most of us are, at least.
Yes, you're... Lee and Casey, I'm sure they'll be along shortly. My end of the bargain. Tomorrow, in the morning, we have a busy schedule, so I hope that you will be ready because we're going to do a whirlwind tour to get a variety of things taken care of. We're going to get your horses examined, and we are going to start the collection of some of the things you've requested, like these ridiculous cutlasses.
I kind of laugh at that.
But in the evening, that's when it's your turn. So, I just wanted to be sure that you were all here. Well, at least most of you are here, safe, well settled, comfortable. If you need anything, don't hesitate to ask anyone. I have given instructions to everyone that works this portion of the building that they're to respond to any need you express. So if you need food, if you need water, if you need anything, simply ask and we'll make sure that you are taken care of. Tomorrow morning, bright and early, we have plenty of work to do. And then sunset, it'll be your turn.
You're a very well-read woman, based on our first meeting.
I'm not sure where this is going.
We're in a city that has probably more books than I've ever seen. Are there any books that you would recommend for me that you could have them drop? I don't know how long we're going to be in town, but this is an opportunity for me to read a book that I've never read before. That opportunity doesn't come off very often.
She contemplates for a moment, says, you ever read any of the translations of the classic Chinese books about the romance of the Three Kingdoms?
I haven't.
You'd stand to benefit from it. I'll have copies brought down. You won't likely finish them, but get as far as you can.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
She then starts to her leave and says, oh, yes. Also an introduction is in order. A strangely familiar-looking woman. Not perfectly familiar, but a strangely familiar-looking woman. Black woman, middle-aged, wearing traveling clothes, but also has a white smock on her. She says, I'd like to introduce you to one piece of our agreement. She goes around. Captain James Owen Kreider, Motomar, Philip Carstairs, Emily, I forget the last name of her father. Lipschitz. Yes, Emily Emily, is it Owens?
It is not.
No, it's your name.
If you can't find it, it's going to
We
be
know
Lipschitz.
the grandfather was Barnes.
Barnes, yes. Emily Barnes.
Damn you and your notes.
Emily Barnes.
Yeah, Thomas Barnes.
I would like to introduce you to the doctor that I hand-selected for you. And she says, I'll let you get acquainted. And she turns and, along with the mask, takes her leave. And the woman steps forward and says, so, which one? You're the captain?
Yes, ma'am. Or would you prefer doctor?
I think before we get to anything, I prefer an apology.
I'm sorry?
She extends a hand to you. Dr. Sonia Marshall.
Well, Dr. Marshall, I do apologize. I assume that this has to do with you being assigned to our crew?
No. It has to do with the fact that your ship is named after my little sister.
Oh, shit!
And as I understand it, you were there when she died.
You're Lillian's older sister?
Yes.
Wow. She was a wonderful woman.
Yes, was.
She meant a lot to the three of us. And I point to Joe and to Motomar.
I hope so. Because whatever it is that she saw in that lifestyle, whatever it is she saw in that dumb old man that you guys followed, I hope you guys gave her quite a bit, because she gave you guys everything.
Any of us would have given our life to save hers, if we could have. if we had a doctor on the ship, she might have made it.
Well, then at least let's not let that happen again.
I kind of just nodded at her.
I extend my hand a second time, and I'm truly sorry.
She hesitates, but then does take it, and very briefly, like single squeeze, shakes it and says, well, if you'll excuse me, I'll be sleeping somewhere else tonight, and heads off into the building.
Joe, I think the boat's going to be a little bit awkward around her for a while.
Well,
Boat got smaller.
yeah. I have to say, though, that I'm really impressed by the way you handled that. Just turning it around on her and saying, if we had had the doctor, maybe Lily'd still be around.
That's true.
Well, I was,
There wasn't no saving her.
no, but I wish,
Not for us.
Not for anybody. She had a blow through.
I'm amazed at what doctors can do. You haven't seen many in your...
That's true.
he's eaten a few.
He's eating a few.
One or
As
two.
if you're what you eat, he might be still like some percentage doctor.
I'm,
Look at his character sheet. He's part doctor. He's part doctor.
I'm mostly doctor.
He's
Full
at
of vitamin doctor.
He's at least 10% through med school. All right, let me ask you guys a question because
I'm all vapored.
I'll tell you right now, okay? I got my game notes here. I got some boss-ass plot points coming up, and that's a technical term.
Yeah.
But I'm like, because I love where this is about to go.
Right.
I want to keep going, but if I start that train, I can't stop it. So how long can you guys game tonight?
He's still...
Yeah. So since it's Memory's birthday, I probably should try. We should probably try to, because I know we do our wrap up at the end, and that usually takes us about 15 minutes or whatever. So
Let's call it.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think that was a tremendous. I mean, I know it was a shorter game session in general, but I thought that was a great bomb to end it on, because now I'm like all.
So if you think that was a bomb, wait till you see what's in the rest of my notes.
Wait till the actual bomb goes off.
Right.
So, okay, so let's do. Well, apart from the fact that I could probably about load a.
You've got 7 there, right?
Yeah, I've got a magazine here. I might have to start finding some reasons to either spend or give back some bullets here.
I just want to touch your coins. Look at them. It's
Get your
amazing.
hands on my groats. I'm waiting until I've got 13.
Chad, those will do something.
I'm
by the
sure.
way. I'm not just giving those to you as like.
Yeah. And he really would have paid Emily a coin for teaching Joe to how to read.
The thing is, the coins, as you would look at them, they have no particular significance.
Yeah. Are they
We've
a
got-
gold coin? Like, are they a
okay.
groat?
They do kind of have a bullionish look to them. You don't
Or are
think by
they
their weight they're
plastic?
actually gold.
Oh, okay.
I know.
It's a non-precious metal. It's there's got to be there will be a value to them.
Sure.
I'll tell you right now. You take them to the market and try to trade them for something.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you want like a handful of screws and.
Like I said, I'm just waiting for my 13 pieces of silver. So.
Okay, this is 30.
Oh, 30.
It's
30.
30.
Sorry,
So
30.
check. Hey, that's a nice call there. So outside of, how long have you as a player known that you had to get the book to copy it?
Since the last session.
Since last session.
It was
yeah.
his objective at the start of last session. He had 2 objectives. One was to get a copy of Philip's book to a man sitting under one of the legs of the arch, and the other was to get that satchel to a man by the name of William Sunset I forget what his-
Zale.
And so he achieved both objectives, and because he spent the bullets, he got a pretty much perfect copy of your book.
Yeah, and he wasn't able to do it last session, I guess. So
Well, we
weren't on the ship much last
Well,
session.
he also didn't get to St. Louis. He couldn't turn it in.
Yeah.
So he did the pickups last session, except the book. Well, I mean, he did the pickup with the satchel, but he couldn't turn them in last session.
Wait,
I've done 6 jobs so far.
we have to monetize this, right? Like there are no, I'm serious. There are an entire line of my blank is smarter than your blank shirts. Right?
It's in the back room. Look in the back room. I wrote an entire thread of the book titles.
Yeah. I'm telling you.
And I didn't pull from that. I just made up a new one.
The T-shirts that are out there that we could do for this. That
I thought new campaign. We needed a new book.
Yes, absolutely.
Because
I've been waiting for an opportunity to bring up the book in.
Nice.
I'm telling you, if as long as we got the right kitschy kids artist, the right font, you could make. I mean, we could sell. I'm telling you, these shirts we could move.
Well,
because even people that aren't into the game would be.
I tell you, because they wouldn't get the genetic construct angle,
right?
Because to explain to anyone who's listening what this is about is in one of the prior Skies of Glass games we played. This was the one where Pat famously killed a guy by
hitting him in the back of the head
with a pipe
style, knocked him out,
and instead killed him. But in that game, I referred to a pop-up book called My Dog is Smarter Than My Dad. And what it was a book for is it's a children's book that's also a piece of marketing literature for a line of genetically engineered dogs. And there's one of the things that was going on before the war was there was all this genetic re-engineering of various animals to make them more intelligent, to make them better work animals, to even make them produce things like medicinal enzymes and whatever.
To shit lemons.
To shit.
Apparently.
No, where she got the lemons going to be, if you guys ever ask her, is going to be a more interesting conversation. But, because, that does, where she got a lemon in Missouri, that should be raising some questions.
Yeah, that's like Lee's thing right there. He's shocked by it.
So, that one. But anyway, so I put together a whole list of what these books were.
I'm trying to find those because I remember it out there. GCs are one of my favorite things in the setting. Like early on, I latched onto them and just absolutely loved the concept.
Okay, so here's the ones I have. Bucky Bunny Builds Buckingham, which is about a bunny who's builds a warren that more or less mirrors Buckingham Palace. A horse's homework is home space work. A horse's homework is homework, meaning a horse's homework is to actually
work at home.
Or not literally in the house, not like walking around dusting, but doing work at home. My best friend Teddy, literally about a bear, a household bear. Gabby the grabbing gibbon, service animal.
Yeah.
Lion on my lawn, home defense.
Security.
I think this is a bird one. Manda's Amazing Miss, and I think Miss is short for a type of bird, but I can't remember what the Miss one is because it's they're all apostrophes. Apostrophe Manda's, apostrophe Amazing, apostrophe Miss. Oh no, or maybe that's about the one that's actually a completely invented animal. Because there is, I can't remember. Yes, that's the invented animal.
Still a liger?
No, there is an animal that has been genetically engineered from the ground up, called a Coticmus, and it is a complete genetic chimera. It does not have any parallel in nature, and that's what it's referenced to. Okay.
The little girl who's a dog.
No, it's about Amanda's Amazing Miss. The Miss is the end of the name of the animal. Super Sven, Safety Snake.
He's neon orange.
This is the bird one. Forgetful Mom and Her Fancy Marm. Pete's Parents Add 2, New Baby, New Bonobo. That's one book. So Pete's Parents Add 2, question mark, like they're adding 2 to the family. So they bring home a new baby and a bonobo to help them take care of simple tasks like changing the diapers and stuff. This Raccoon's No Bandit.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, I don't remember what the animal was. It's just the name of the animal, but it's about like Alzheimer's care and finding places. Never Lost with Lemon. the lemon's the animal's name. It's not the type of animal.
Genetically created lemon monstrosity that helps elders.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I also...
Which would be unacceptable.
Okay, so, post-game stuff in general. What did you guys think of the game? Motomar, I definitely need to give you some more stuff, because I feel like we're definitely going to move the plot southward, and we're going to move the plot towards... I was hoping to do it next game. Looks like it's going to be maybe one more after that. Mm-hmm. But I need to get you in the spotlight, because I feel like you are spending way too much time benched.
Yeah.
And so I want you to know, as a game master, I'm aware of that, and I'm going to see if I can fix it even within St. Louis. If not, then we are going to get the game someplace that gives you, because that right now as a game master is what's bothering me the most, is the amount of time where you're benched or don't have anything.
Yeah, when he talks, he comes up with the best ideas.
He does.
Doctor, use their bathroom.
Yeah, shitting in another man's house was genius.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what Dan's basically saying is the game's going to get a lot more murderer
Right.
and that's where we're going to go.
We're going to eat so many doctors.
Yeah, oh my God, I'm going to be a doctor. Wait a minute, you're going to be a ship captain.
No, it's good. I mean, I like being the fish out of water. It's totally fine. And I'm piecing things together that's going on behind the scenes, especially with all the note passing and I'm like, how would Motomar react to any of this? Even if he knew what Lee was doing, he wouldn't care.
Sure.
All you're doing is scribbling from one book to another. What's the big deal?
Yeah, exactly.
He
gave a guy a bag. It was his bag.
Right.
Okay.
Right. The question is in the future,
Yeah.
when I ask Motomar to kill Lee, does he do it?
Yeah. That's going to be a very interesting reveal, though, if it
ever comes,
game. That was one of
Chad and I am 99% sure actually have already worked that out.
Okay.
What happens if that happens? So, yes, I have already to kind of explain the background of what occurred there is to get out of St. Louis. Yes, there was a series of loopholes and things that could be pulled to make it occur, but he had to have help to do things like get the case heard by the overseer and things like that. And there was a devil's bargain.
And not be killed and punished for even bringing it up.
So it's not what he's doing could prove harmful to the party, but he's not playing the traitor.
Yeah, no, but it's I'm not sure how Phil. Oh, not even that. I am really curious. I'll have to see on how it comes out. How would Philip react to his books being used for that purpose? Because it's not something he even would have ever thought of.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, so far, Lee has achieved 6 objectives, I believe.
That sounds about... I've been throwing some of the notes over. You may not have all of them, because some of them, when you check them off, I toss them over there.
And it has not been... I've been getting these coins.
We got 5 today and 1 before that for each one. So how many total do you have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
We got 5 today.
So I got 5 today.
So you only did 2 objectives?
2 objectives?
I believe...
All right. Because I have 2 objectives... I've got... Well,
you shouldn't tell
I shouldn't say them. I got 1 and 2 here. And then
Are you sure points haven't gotten knocked under something, or
4, 5,
like they're not under the book?
I'm pretty confident that there were only 2 coins there when we sat down tonight.
Chad, maybe you need to stick around for a second. We need to review this real quick, and I need to make sure you're squared away if they're not on the table or under something.
Well, and like you said, the notes are over there. So.
Yeah, so I mean, I know what your objectives. Okay, so. Pacing of the game in terms of having... I mean, we generally talk about gaming not being a spectator sport, but tonight gaming is kind of a spectator sport.
I like gaming as a spectator sport, so the fact that we did all that at the table, I very much appreciate.
And I think it was incredibly good for the game that we actually played out these. Because we don't know what he's done in the past previously that we've missed. Having this be at the game adds something to the game.
Yeah.
Our characters know nothing about it, but we as players may find ways to make to feed it.
Right. Right.
Well, I think, and you guys can tell me if this is true or not, one of the things that I've been told as a game master in the past that I need to work on is there's too much mystery that doesn't get exposed quickly enough.
Yeah.
And so the mystery becomes frustrating because the players feel like they're completely in the dark. I know that didn't answer even close to everything, but that did at least give you guys some sense of what else out there is occurring. You know, what else is going on, the other layers to the story.
I'm fine with it right now. I mean, I think pacing's great.
Agreed. I think pacing's been great. One of the things that you did tonight that I really, really liked that I don't do as a game master is when you were playing the role of an NPC talking to another NPC, you looked across the table at empty space as if you were talking to that person in the character of NPC A addressing NPC B. And I noticed that a couple of times. I was like, that is something that I don't do. I do a lot of the right and the left, but actually looking across the room as if they're there, I thought was a nice bit of theatrics.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think theatrics is a way to describe it because it's all performance,
right.
And so if you're role playing with Chad, you turn and look at Chad,
right.
So if I'm role playing, being all the NPCs, if I'm role playing two NPCs, right, who do I look at? And it's also why, I mean, one of the I think most awkward things as a GM has always been talking to yourself as two NPCs.
Yeah, it sucks.
And which is, I try generally to avoid it, which is why, for example, at dinner, Duchess did the talking, Sandoval said almost nothing. But now that I've got Emily and Casey, who are soon going to be in the same space again, I've had to give them distinct voices. I drop timbre and pitch for Casey's, and I raise it for Emily's. So it's
and they have two very distinct personalities.
Right.
I mean, Casey is essentially a nihilist, and Emily is not. I see her as she isn't a positive person, but she's a realist, but she's still young and
right.
I don't know if you heard, but when you were specifically saying that you were talking about the quiet people that listen, but and then the intelligence thing. I made a comment that Emily is officially the most dangerous person on the ship.
Yeah,
because she is both.
Yes,
she is the intelligent one that sits there and listens and watches.
That's why she needs regular and consistent bilge cleanings. She needs humility.
I love that. I'll believe 42. Joe, what?
I have to say one of my favorite parts of this game too was strolling through South City in the middle of the night, chatting with Casey, essentially kind of sort of gossiping about their friends. It was just it's very real.
Yeah,
so it's not moving the plot. It's not cloak and dagger shit. It's two guys talking about the people they know in their lives, just shooting the shit. It was really neat, and I don't think it overstayed its welcome, and it was really cool.
Agreed.
I also like what Dan did with the dinner and how that played out. Because are you gonna tell them, or you gonna save that? I don't even know if it'd ever come up again.
Go ahead.
Because not all the note passing had to do with Lee
and what you were doing on the ship,
right?
What you were doing on the Vine while we were on the dance.
I was really curious what your note to the captain was.
I didn't write a note to the captain.
He wrote a note to Duchess saying, Joe would really be honored if he had dinner on your ship, but he's too embarrassed to ask.
I would consider it a personal favor.
I literally thought...
Why do you think through the entire dinner the Duchess was talking to you about nervousness?
So I honestly thought that it was a maneuver to basically say, look, don't think that because we have this agreement and that you're doing something for me, don't think that this means that you are of any real importance or value, and don't get any ideas about your station or your value to house. Don't get too big for your britches.
Really, what her bigger point was is our circles don't overlap, so you don't need to be nervous about me.
Right. Which I did not. I totally. I mean, as
Because
Mike,
you didn't
as
have the
Joe,
context.
I didn't get it. I was like, I'm so fucking sick of these people who are smarter than me, bullying me and pushing me around and trying to maneuver me, and eventually I'm just gonna unleash the Motomar.
Yeah. I completely got the "we don't travel in the same circles, you're fine" message.
I did not
loved
get
it.
that.
I absolutely loved watching the entire thing because it was like, he's so freaking out. He's so paranoid that everybody's coming at him. It's just like...
Well, and you did it! You did it! You're the one that was like, oh, these people, they're evil, they're manipulative, and there are no good houses. Go have dinner with this bitch, and I'm not going to come with you, by the way.
Well, and then the note he sends her is, he's freaking out.
My God. Oh, my God. I was totally not, I mean, literally, as Joe, not nervous at all about going into this whole situation. But then the dinner, and then Casey's rig, his whole frame and everything, and then going into the city and be like, holy crap, these people have streetlights? Like, this is a different world. And I was not bothered about any of it until this game. Until all these dominoes fell. Ugh.
Well, so far you've seen 3 types, because one of the things you asked for, Broder, is to see the diversity of the world.
Right.
And so far you're having seen 3 different types of things in the world. The small town, the small to mid-sized town, Herman, Defiance, the post-nuke urban wasteland, which was what Chad was going into, and the post-nuke, but we managed to sort of put society back together.
Right, the rebuild.
The rebuild sort of thing, which you saw now in the northern part of St. Louis. And there are still other types of things.
I know, like we're going to meet Motomar's parents.
Right. Yeah, say the wilderness and the wilds, that's not the only one, but that's one of the other types of environs that you still need to see. And once you guys get down there, you're probably going to be down there for a fair while.
I'm excited about that quite a bit. But
and that was actually where most of the prior Skies of Glass game took place, was in and out of a small, basically going back and forth between a small to mid-sized town.
Is that town going to be there?
Cape Girardeau? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we were in Cape. That's right.
Yeah. You can go right. You can basically go right by Cape.
Are our characters going to be there?
Oh.
The funny thing is, I'll be driving through Cape in 2 days.
There you go.
Yeah.
Family reunion on Saturdays in Denton, which is just past Cape.
I'm going to go hit the head real quick. If you
And
excuse
you know
me.
what? We know of a good mercenary company down there, too.
Take that thing down so you can close the door.
I remember when I went to the family reunion around the time we were playing the game, I went downtown Cape and I went along the river and I took some pictures and just kind of looked around.
Yeah, but you can absolutely go if you choose or have some reason to do so. You can absolutely go to Cape. So
you're talking about the wilderness and everything, and with Casey saying, talking to Lee about, oh, you know where it came from.
I hope he starts grunting when he poops. And I hope the mic picks it up.
But no, that's fine. Saying thing. I have no frame of reference as to what the wilderness is like, but I can imagine it as pretty, Mad Max-esque. Just brutality and life is cheap and things like that. And so
only in a verdant forest.
I'd say imagine Mad Max with greenery.
Yeah,
and you're about it's and less vehicles. And Mad Max with a lot more greenery and a lot less oil.
Right. So in my mind, I'm thinking, how would somebody from that environment transplanted into this world of machinations and everything? And when she said, "Are you nervous?" No, because I get food every day. I don't even have to wonder where I'm going to get food from. Shelter, all this other stuff. And to him, he hasn't seen any of the backbiting and stuff like that. So to him, it's still all kind of a joke. It's like you people put value on the wrong stuff, and so
And he could easily kill her.
well, yeah. I mean, it's like that was 2 times that I was in a room with somebody who is obviously pulling strings and stuff like that. That Lee basically told me not to kill her, and so I was like, that. I'm thinking in terms of a barbarian looking at society going, this is all a joke. You act like you're this and that, but really,
because he doesn't see like the next chess move, right? For him, I mean, it's a game of checkers. You move, they move, but
he doesn't see that if you kill her, then an army comes after you.
Yeah, that there's consequence, which is awesome, which is great.
Right.
And
it's like in his mind, it's this person is physically non-threatening, so what's the problem?
Right. It's not. She's not even worth killing.
Yeah, and I love that he'll say the things that no one else will because of that. Like, I've had better.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
The truth is, it may even be the exact same water from the same people.
I'm gonna go home and make a curry. That's all I know.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
I'll go ahead and kill the recording.
For the snacks, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead and roll this chair.
Oh yeah, we need to
Do some bookkeeping. Charlie.